that creek and walk back to the place where Gabby's remains were discovered. I know for you, having been covering this story since the very beginning, it must be surreal and overwhelming. What struck you about that area? And just walk us back through what it was like being there.
Yeah, I think the word that you said really is the right word, sort of surreal. I messaged with Gabby's mom that we were out there, and I just kept thinking about her and Gabby's family and the fact that they were out there in the same spot. And I guess that was really at the forefront of my mind the entire time, thinking what it must have been like for them to be out there. And the sort of interesting thing is, you're there thinking about how awful it is that her body was there and what must have happened to her, but it's just such an incredibly beautiful setting at the same time, and there is this strange sense of peace there because there are these creeks that move through the area and it's surrounded by mountains. And as I said in the piece in the beginning, I mean, you can just hope that the peaceful surroundings bring some comfort to Gabby's family, at least in some way.
A place that we know she loved so much based on what her family has shared and all of those videos that were so public for the world to see. Brian Enton, thank you. When we come back answering your questions about this case, Brian will be back along with Jennifer Coffendoffer standing by. Don't go anywhere. Our special report continues right after this.
If you're on supplemental oxygen, tanks make life hard. Well, now there's a better way to get the oxygen your doctor prescribed without a tank. Now you can create your own oxygen with the Inogen One. It's the one solution for home, away, and travel.
When I was on tanks, I felt imprisoned. Now that I've got my Inogen One, my life is full again. With this little device, I can now go anywhere I want and do the things that I've always loved.
The Inogen One creates all-day oxygen from the air around you. When you have an Inogen One, you can get back to living your life again.
I love this, and I love my Inogen because it lets me see this.
I could play golf again. I could go grocery shopping, and I could work in the garden again. For a year, I was just nothing without it. I'm free again.
Being able to be in my grandchildren's lives, it means the world to me. They're not going to think of me as someone sitting in the house with a tank. They're going to remember me.
I didn't want to be that old sick lady in the mirror. With the Inogen, I can handle my own oxygen. I can carry my own oxygen. I can make my own oxygen. I go anywhere with this. It lets me be normal.
Almost 1 million people have decided to get their normal lives back with the Inogen One family of oxygen systems. You should too. You may even be eligible to receive an Inogen One at little or no additional cost. So give us a call and talk to one of our highly trained oxygen specialists. We'll answer any questions you may have and send you your comprehensive guide to respiratory freedom.
If you're on oxygen, you need to be using an Inogen.
This Inogen really works. You got to get off the couch and get one.
Wouldn't you rather have this than a tank? Really?
Pick up the phone, call the Inogen company. They're going to take care of you.
Call 800-579-3446. That's 800-579-3446. Or visit Inogen.com.
Icy hot. Ice works fast. Heat makes it last. Feel the power of contrast therapy. So you can rise from pain. Icy hot.
At Chewy, we know the only thing that changes when bringing home a new pet is everything. And we're here with everything to help you on that journey. We've got toys, treats and food, even prescriptions delivered right to your door. Get fast-free 1 to 2 day shipping with Chewy.
There's gotta be a better way. At Good To Go Insurance, you can get coverage with as little as $20 down despite your driving record. Get an online quote for a low monthly payment in less than a minute. Save money by only paying for the coverage you need and get proof of insurance on the spot. Visit goodtogo.com and get coverage fast, cheap, and easy. That's goodtogo.com.
We think our father, James Anderson, should be named Father of Mr. Wilson.
Eat it, please. I don't be fond.
Finally, tonight, we want to hear from you. We have retracked those final steps, looking for any clues that we may have missed along the way. Maybe you saw something, you noticed something. You've seen the reporting. Now your questions. I want to bring back Brian Enton and Jennifer Coffendorfer. We're going to get to a few of these, as many as we can, and thank you at home for submitting. All right, this first question is for you, Jennifer, focused on the Laundrie family and the investigation. Let's listen.
Hi, Jennifer and Brian. My name is Kate, and my question is for Jennifer. Do you think that the Laundrie parents are going to be discovered by the FBI to have helped Brian stay hidden
Absolutely. There's not a
Carlton
chance
Reserve?
they're not involved.
Thank you, Kate. That's a good question. I don't think, and I wouldn't imagine, that the FBI will go after the Laundrie parents for harboring their son. After all that's come out and the fact he is now deceased, I don't think we could expect that. I think an obstruction charge would be more possible, although that would take also some pretty heavy evidence that I haven't seen yet in terms of cleaning that van or hiding some evidence or indicia of that crime.
Next question is for Brian. This is from Jessica.
My question is, have you investigated into what the domestic violence training requirement is for the Moab police? Also, have you investigated into this here in Florida?
Another good question from Jessica. In terms of Moab, they actually just had a training a very short time ago after the Gabby Petito incident for all of their officers, going over their domestic violence protocols. And you'll notice in my piece, we weren't able to get into specifics with the assistant chief about what happened because there is an ongoing investigation right now by an outside agency into whether or not the officers in Moab handled the situation correctly. So because of that ongoing investigation, we weren't able to ask the assistant chief specifics about what he thought about what the officers did in the video.
Brian, we have another question to you. This is on Twitter, and so we'll put this question up on the screen now. This asks, is there proof that Brian Laundrie flew back to Florida? Where was Gabby during that time? Airport and flight proof. Brian.
So you saw when we went to the hotel near the airport that the manager and the staff there would not talk to us at all. But we know that Gabby was there, at least according to Cassie, Brian's sister, because you'll remember Cassie said that she did a FaceTime with Gabby when Brian was back in Florida, and that she saw and spoke to Gabby. So based on what Cassie said, we know that Gabby was there at the hotel in Salt Lake.
Jennifer, this next question is for you. This is from Holly tonight.
My question for you is, what does the legal road look like for this case? As far as, do you think this is something that the Petitos will be proceeding with in court, or is this something that they'll settle outside of court? Thank you.
So the question is, will there be some sort of civil lawsuit that would occur by the Petitos against the Laundries for their involvement? Certainly, if Brian Laundrie were still alive, there would be a subsequent civil suit after the criminal suit terminated. But against the Laundries, I don't know what kind of evidence they are going to have, particularly that would show that a civil lawsuit would be a winner.
Jennifer, another question that we're getting from a lot of people on Twitter right now is people wondering if the FBI will ever be able to connect Brian to Gabby's death. What do you think?
I absolutely think they will be able to do that. And I think they will because of all the evidence that we can't even see, but we know is out there, including all the evidence that was gleaned from Gabby Petito's autopsy, as well as the crime scene area where her body was discovered and that inner lying area, as well as, again, all that cyber information. Remember, there's a trail of him going back home. There's going to be phone messages. There's going to be telephone communications that are going to be able to be tracked, the subpoenaed information. They are going to be able to put together a case.
Brian, I have one more question from you, and I haven't heard this asked very often, but do we know, have law enforcement indicated, did Brian Laundrie have a gun, access to a gun, and did Brian and Gabby travel with a gun on their cross-country trip? Do we know?
We don't know, and that is a question that has come up over and over again, and I have asked Northport Police that, and they say that they can't comment, and the FBI won't comment. So the bottom line at this point is we don't know, and we've also asked specifically, was there a gun found at the Carlton Reserve, and police also will not answer that.
Brian Enton and Jennifer Coffendorfer, thank you both, and to you at home tonight, thank you for your interest in this case and your relentless determination to get answers and justice for Gabby. As we close tonight, I want to share two images with you. The first is a picture of Gabby, youthful and happy. The tattoo on her arm reads, "Let it be." The second image is a photo posted by Gabby's dad, Joe Petito,
Did you guys
taken inside Grand Teton National Park. And the caption is a goodbye, saying simply,
cool.
"I know why you came here, Gabby Petito. You have a beautiful view from now on. Love you and miss you." That is our time for tonight, but I assure you the investigation into what happened to Gabby Petito continues. And our promise to you is we will stay on it until we find out everything that happened. Thank you for watching tonight. Thank you for your continued attention, and thank you for your love. Banfield is next.
Thoughts, guys? Let me read chat. What are you guys suggesting? We're going to have a commercial break here. It's just weird. All I ever typed in chat was, "Don't believe in your beliefs, but respect them," and bam, I become invisible. Well, now you're visible. Maureen looks great. Alyssa, she will live in love forever. Yes, she will. She's definitely grabbed all of our heartstrings for sure. But let's not forget that there's so many other families out there, and that's what we're trying to continue is, hopefully Gabby's brought a lot of attention to domestic violence and all these relationships that are really terrible. And hopefully if that starts getting women out of these bad relationships and men that are in these controlling relationships, I think that we can call that a success. But we got to keep up the work that we've continued to do. I'm going to premiere the Chloe case from Western Australia. We're pretty close to getting near the end of that one. And we've also got the Sydney West cases in progress. So I know a lot of you have been asking me to try to get on earlier, especially for the people in Europe. And maybe we'll premiere those on the weekend at 5 o'clock or something like that instead of 8. But I wanted to try to get a more consistent time period because a lot of the people that were missing me from the previous show didn't know when I was on. So I'm going to try to stick to coming on at 8 o'clock. Depending on where you guys take this is a sounding board for all of you. And, just give your thoughts. And of course, if you have any case that's close to you and you need help, we've got a team of probably about 200 to 300 people now that are literally in our Discord 24 hours a day from every part of the country. And eventually what I'd like to do is get some boots on the ground so that we can actually, get in there and do stuff. And, maybe potentially using our own leads, get in there and save somebody or pull somebody out of a bad situation. And maybe even more importantly, just bring attention to the issue of domestic violence and understanding some of these narcissistic behaviors that trap some people. Yep, Cleo. Anyways, thanks for your lives, Gaviscon. We've got some neat stuff we're going to talk about after we watch this show. I've got some potential swag that could be out here in as early as 1 or 2 days, and I think you guys are going to really like it.
crucial locations connected to the case and hearing from some
How's the
important
volume, guys?
new
Is it
witnesses.
too loud?
Did the police miss something in Utah? And was there really a restaurant fight in Wyoming? We'll answer those questions and more. Plus, the sheriff speaks while the assistant director lawyers up. Are there roadblocks in the Alec Baldwin movie investigation that left a crew member dead? All ahead on Banfield.
I'm not surprised talking. That's why I've decided to stay in my own lane.
Welcome to Banfield as the makeshift memorial to Gabby Petito is loaded into a Northport city truck and hauled off from the laundry's front lawn. New questions surface and red flags are raised in other parts of the country. Newsnation's Brian Enton is currently visiting the most important locations connected to this case, following in the final tragic footsteps of Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie. But fortunately for us, Brian Enton is able to stop down on the trip and share with us what he has learned on this trip. Brian, thank you. I know you're in Grand Teton tonight. You must be exhausted from all of the work you've compiled over the last few days. First and foremost, situate me as to why you are standing where you are, and then who you've talked to along the way, generally speaking.
So yeah, we are in Grand Teton right now. You can see the big sign behind me. I mean, it's pitch black out here. It's a national park, you know, that goes on for thousands and thousands of acres. So it's very, very dark tonight. But we're basically ending our journey here because very close to where we stand now is where Gabby Petito's body was discovered. And later on in the show, we're going to show you that area. Super interesting and surreal to be there. And there were so many things that went through my mind being there that I didn't realize until I saw it for myself today. So we're going to get into that later. We also were in Jackson, Wyoming, where Gabby and Brian were at a restaurant. We're going to talk to you about that. Also Salt Lake City, where Gabby stayed behind when Brian went home to Florida on that trip. And then Moab, of course, where there was the domestic incident and the body camera video. So we're going to walk you through it all, and I'll explain it all to you, Ashley.
Okay, and before we get to this journey of yours, I want to actually just catapult everyone back to Florida because there was a development today, and I think it left a real pit in a lot of people's stomach. I'll show some of the video of it, but that memorial that's been on the corner of the laundry's front lawn and has remained, for the most part, untouched, was touched, and it was upsetting to see what was happening. This is the video here. This is a Northport city worker in a Northport city truck, picking it all up and dumping it in the back of the truck, basically hauling it off, Brian. And I assume this is a surprise to you because it stayed there every single day that you were there.
Yeah, it was a surprise to me to see that this
What
just
is wrong
suddenly
with
happened.
these people in
I kind of
Northport?
wondered at what point would something like this happen.
Seriously?
Being out there for so long, wondering, you know, were the neighbors going to complain, were the laundry's going to make a call. And you remember, Ashley, early on, there was that police worker that was out there in that pickup truck telling people not to leave stuff on the grass. So there's sort of been this thing with the city for a while. We've got this feeling like they didn't like that the signs were popping up there along the road in front of the laundry's house.
Sad to see some of the flowers that they're collecting seem fresh, and these are, you know, obviously brought in the recent days by people who wanted to memorialize Gabby, probably send a message to the laundries, but
can't
also,
the mayor
you know, pay their
override
respects in
that
the
and
only
say,
place maybe that was
"That's gotta
close enough for
stop"?
them to pay their respects. The place where she lived, it was her home, let's remember, not just the laundry's home. It was also Gabby's home. I think that gets forgotten.
We've sent letters to the
in
mayor.
a lot of this. You know,
Send
it's
another one.
interesting. You know, if you think about the dichotomy of how they memorialized Gabby, Brian, the city had a huge memorial, and, you know, Gabby's parents were actually even there. They were able to take some things home. They were able to look through it. They were able to see the messages, and it was very special. They thought these things were important enough to keep. And here's some of the video of them wrapping things up and protecting them, and it seemed very ceremonious compared to what we just saw, and that was very unceremonious. Into the back of the pickup truck. I think the only thing that might have been worse is if it were just a garbage truck, but it felt the same.
Yeah, and you remember there was that memorial near Northport City Hall that was very, very large, and people were able to go there and leave things. The city sort of shut that down too and boxed everything up. And when you were talking about the memorial outside the Laundrie's house being taken away, I was thinking, you know, gosh, if they still had that other memorial, at least there would still be a place in Northport for people to go and leave things and to gather and to talk. But now that memorial is also gone, and there's just been so many people.
Man, where's White Boy Nation when you need him? That guy would have set that stuff down pretty quick if White Boy was there.
Express emotion and have been touched by the case. Now it sort of feels like they may not have a place to do that, at least at this point. Of course, there is a plan, they say, for a more permanent memorial, a bench near the city hall, but that just hasn't happened yet.
I do think the Laundries are going to get charged. I think as the evidence starts to come out, you're going to see they bought that camper, or they tried to buy that camper in the middle of August. So the same time when Brian flies back the first time. Why would they do that? Because they already knew something.
Received several complaints about signs posted on Wabasso Avenue. Per city sign code and storm water code, these signs are in violation and are not allowed in the road right of way. And it, strangely enough, the person who actually released that statement, I kind of thought it'd be some, paper pusher from the town. Nope, it was Josh Taylor, being called the city spokesman. He's also the police spokesperson.
I don't know if you guys have hit your like button yet, but go ahead and do it. It helps us get out there and get more viewers and helps us get our word out to more people. It's not for any reason for monetary issues or anything like that. If I get super stickers in the next day or so, I'm not even going to turn on super stickers. So that's not my motivation, but I'd like to see people get out there and get at least our ideas and our viewpoints instead of some of all these fluff guys that are out there and just getting thousands and thousands of views. It's kind of silly.
Becoming a little more permanent. There were people who put lights in front of it that would light it up at night. And I would imagine, technically it probably does violate some sort of code in the city to have signs like that near the street. But I sort of suspected that the city would just sort of let it be for a while, again, because it's a sensitive thing for so many people.
It is very sensitive, and I just think about that beautiful picture that we can just see there. She's smiling, towards this camera here, in that cutout of her. It just breaks my heart to think that someone's just going to be probably tossing that into the trash. It's just really heartbreaking. What I wanted to do was just remind everyone how things have really played out on that lawn with regard to those who wanted to make a statement. Because it's been in myriad ways, right? We have seen, let's start with the flower bombing that began, Brian. I think you noticed it right away. All of a sudden, floral arrangements were ordered to that home, and one after the other, they were sent there with messages, most of the messages to Gabby, as if to say to the Laundries, yeah, she lived there. That is her home, and we do want to send some flowers. And they didn't move them; they just kind of left them on the front porch there. But there were so many other ways. I want to just sort of play the compilation of what we witnessed of memorializing Gabby Petito on that front lawn. Take a look at this.
Oh, this was awesome. Look at the anger she's hitting that thing with. Oh. Brian's face. Bam, bam, bam.
Where are y'all from?
Across the street. Hi. What if it was Cassie? What would they do? They'd probably do a little better than what they're doing now.
Or they knew something beforehand.
Is there anything you want to say to Brian, sir? If he's watching, is there anything you want to say?
Oh, we love Brian. Brian's right in there, but not in a disrespectful way.
You want people to know?
Is there a reason the FBI thinks you're not telling the truth? Do you know where Brian's passport is?
Where's your passport?
Do you have anything to say about Gabby? A lot of the neighbors think you guys know more than you're saying. They're dropped off the sign. They want you to know that they're concerned that you guys know more than you're saying.
Brian, that was not the last of it. One of the last images that I recall was from the women who had come all the way from Minnesota. They flew all the way from Minnesota. They had a sign that they wanted to hammer into the lawn as well. And the reason that they did that was because they said that they had a very profound feeling regarding the domestic abuse story that had played out. And they wanted to let the Laundries know that they had a say. They felt the journey all the way from Minnesota was important, and you can see Mr. Laundrie taking that sign away. But if the sign said, you could just see bits and pieces of it. What if this happened to Cassie? So clearly they wanted that message to be heard loud and clear by the Laundries, and they wanted to say this was upsetting to them, that the Laundries did not help the Petitos in the effort to find Gabby. So let's move from the memorial and sort of the history of how they've memorialized, and that is to the investigation that continues, including where you are. It is not over where you are. The case is not closed where you are. And so far, no one has even called Gabby's killing a murder. It is still just a homicide. So there's still more to come from Wyoming.
Oh, absolutely. And this is still the hub of the investigation. Yes, there's a lot going on in Florida, obviously, but the FBI office in this part of the country is in control of this investigation, and they are the ones running things. And still, up until now, and we talked about this the other night, they have still not come out and said that Brian Laundrie killed Gabby Petito. This is still under investigation, and a lot of people, us included, are waiting for the press conference or the memo or however they decide to do it to say, look, this is the evidence we have, and we're going to now make this connection.
Yeah, the family deserves to know the entire story. And I think the public really just wants to know the entire story. They feel very drawn to Gabby and now the family's cause, the Gabby Petito Foundation cause. I'm going to give you that address in a little bit. In the meantime, though, so the investigation up there has yet to wrap up and close and sort of spill out all of its, work product, right? They will never be able to call Brian Laundrie a murderer because you cannot charge, try, and convict a dead man, and that's the only way you can establish an actual murder. So that's not going to be satisfying to a lot of people. But in the, back in the Southeast in Florida, the investigation's continuing there as well. The FBI is continuing to question what happened, and that involves the Laundries and whether they had any involvement as well. And the notebook. Because if that man wrote something in that notebook, it could answer all the questions. Do we have anything further on the notebook? It's day 7.
I know that really is like the number one question on Twitter, I would say, from people is everybody, including me. I mean, we all want to know what's inside that notebook. We haven't gotten any updates since yesterday. Latest again, and I'll just repeat myself, is police say they do believe there's something legible in it. They think they'll be able to salvage it. But beyond that, we haven't heard anything. And you mentioned the investigation continuing in Florida. I keep thinking back to your interview, that intense interview with Mr. Bertolino. There were so many new nuggets in that interview. But the part where he talked about, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think he said like unresolved issues, or he's still working out things with the FBI and there were still meetings set up and that kind of thing. So this is all still very much active.
And I was fascinated to learn that the FBI and Mr. Bertolino had been speaking up until and after the 13th of September, which is when Brian went on his walkabout never to return. So they were having conversations with the FBI. Perhaps the pressure was on. Perhaps that was some reason that spurred Brian to take his fatal walk. If it was intended, who knows, but it sure seems that way by all accounts. But it is fascinating to think about the things that were said and done, and eventually will the FBI be able to tell the public? We pay the salaries, we pay for the work product. Eventually, it's helpful for the public to know that things don't happen in a vacuum and that we do get resolution in our criminal justice process. Otherwise, we could live in, other countries that just put, dark hoods over you and throw you in a gulag. That's what justice looks like elsewhere. We're very transparent in this country, and it would be good to know, just what they've been able to uncover and what they haven't. All right, Brian Entin, I'm going to go to break, but you can't go anywhere because you're everything. You're everything to me, Brian, and to our viewers as well. I'm just going to tell you that. So, okay, next up, Brian, we're going to take a critical look at the moment of Gabby and Brian's cross-country van trip, that run-in with the police in Moab, Utah. Brian Entin went to the site where this happened. He went with the Moab police, and it really shows an entirely different perspective than that single solitary view you've had from the body camera shots. So was there something that they missed? Was there something we all missed? And would it have made a difference in the way Gabby's life played out? And I promised you this, and I'm going to deliver it right now. If you want to learn more about what Gabby Petito's family is doing to help other missing people and victims of domestic violence, there you have it. Visit GabbyPetitoFoundation.org. And we are back in just a few.
Alyssa, I got a new keyboard because I was watching one of the replays and I realized just how uncomfortable my mechanical double tap amazing keyboard is. It's great for gaming, but it's not so great for streaming. So I bought that. What else did I buy? I bought a new Streamlab extended version, not professional, but one down from that, so that I could go and stream this to both YouTube and Twitch at the same time. I bought a new ring light on a stand, so that's why my lighting's much better and my background is much better. And we have some merch coming out. It's going to be Eddie Bauer zip up Sherpa lined like hoodie almost with pockets and sweatpants, and we're going to get stickers. You guys will see the new logo that one of our viewers or one of our members created. It's really good. I really like it. And tomorrow at 10:30, I'm so excited. I get to go pick up boots, and then I have to go do some picking up some other stuff, doing the renovation upstairs. So I need to get some faucets, pick out some crap. So, but yeah, we're slowly getting there. We've only been doing this for, about a week or so. So there's a big learning curve in setting up all this stuff, and I'm doing pretty good. Not there yet, but eventually what I want to do is instead of using StreamYard, I'm going to use Streamlabs, and that will allow me to put the production value through the roof, basically, and tie in a whole bunch of stuff from Own 3D, which is another software program that I've paid for. And that'll bring in a bunch of tools for you guys to use. You can do all kinds of good stuff. What else are we thinking of? We're thinking of having a poker night. We're thinking of having a movie night where everybody in this group will all watch a movie at the same time. And yeah, just create an atmosphere of what we've already built on and make it bigger and better. And then we'll see. We've got other plans. I mean, ultimately, my biggest dream would be to have a catamaran or something that we can use as like a timeshare and give it out to people that really need that break from probably a domestic violence situation and take their kids. And hopefully that boat is marinaed up off of Costa Rica or Belize, somewhere nice and warm. Oh, this community is incredible. Trust me. We had, it's just, I couldn't be prouder of this group. We've got everybody stepping up in different directions. A lot of the stuff you're going to see on the premiere with Chloe is not all my work, but I'm definitely going to go through it and make sure that it makes sense and that that's not, it's in the same line of thinking as what we've done here. And the same thing with Sydney West. It's going to do this same thing with that. So just every case that we tackle, and God forbid it's one of our own members, but if you want to see us all move into high gear, you're going to see some pretty mad mama bears. I think that's what some of these moderators have talked about, being a big bad mama bear. And I believe it. I wouldn't mess with this crew, especially with all the tools we have now. It's crazy. What else? What was that, Mark? What was that question? It was about the DNA. Yeah, so I saw Dog's interview on another channel, and let me go back to Banfield. We'll talk about it in the next break.
Welcome back to our special coverage of the Brian Laundrie investigation. Newsnation's Brian Entin has been retracing the couple's final movements, visiting all the sites and talking with the witness.
Poor Brian. They're going to make him drive back just to make sure it's possible to get back to Florida in 3 days. All the hard work he's done.
Said, for a little bit of space and a little bit of time when you're trying to piece together details of what happened. Brian Entin is still with me. So Brian, this has to do with that now infamous body cam video. And everybody's been, they've sort of seen it over and over and over again from one perspective, and that's the perspective of the body cam that's being worn on the police officers' chests. But I want to take people back to where you started in Moab, and that was at the Moonflower Co-op. That's where the witness called 911, and this happened. Take a look.
2 witnesses.
We drove by and the gentleman was slapping the girl. He was slapping her? Yes, and then we stopped. They ran up and down the sidewalk. He proceeded to hit her, hopped in the car, and they drove off.
Okay, you said it's a white van?
White van. I give you the license plate. Just give me 1 sec.
So, Brian, did anyone at the Moonflower Cafe Co-op have any additional perspective on that moment? Because so much of it rests on what that guy said, that he was slapping her.
The simple answer is no. And that's what surprised me about the co-op and about many of the places in Moab, is that people did not want to talk about the Gabby Petito incident. This is a small town, smaller than I realized before getting there. Sort of everyone knows everyone. It's a tourist town. Some people told me they were concerned about the image of the town. People sort of now associate Moab with this incident. But again, no one from the co-op wanted to talk. They wouldn't provide surveillance video. And the other interesting thing is a lot of these places right there where that incident happened next to the co-op don't even have surveillance cameras, which kind of surprised me coming from a big city. But when you go into some of these smaller towns, and the assistant police chief told me the same thing, like a lot of these places don't have Ring cameras, they don't have surveillance cameras. It's just not a standard thing like other places.
Okay, so Brian, the next thing I want to ask you, and I'm going to ask our control room to just roll some of the pictures from that, from that domestic violence stop. And I call it that because that's what it was called in as. And we're very familiar with the pictures as we look at them. We've seen them a lot. But it's very, very different when you're there. And I want you to give people a perspective that they can be thinking of as they look at these pictures now, from that initial stop. Given what you've seen, having actually stood in the same spot where Gabby is standing right now on our screen.
Right. So the interesting thing is where the call came in, where the altercation, the domestic incident happened outside the Moonflower Co-op is not anywhere near where the stop happened. It's quite a ways away in the national park outside Moab. After the incident, after the call came in, they left in the van and they made it out of town to the national park, and that is when the police were finally able to catch up with them and pull them over right there in the national park. That was I didn't understand how great the distance was between the two. That was something that was really striking to me.
So there had been some time in the white van for this couple to discuss, talk, say whatever was said. Maybe Brian said something to Gabby as they were being pulled over. We have no idea. But it certainly does give you some perspective to know that there was a lot of time for conversation and for direction, let's just say, as they were being followed by the police. It wasn't instantaneous. So it's very interesting. One other thing I wanted to ask you about is what the police told you, because first of all, I was shocked that they took you there. You got these pictures of them driving you to the location. When you had the chance to talk with them, especially right there on the scene, what struck you about how they are reflective of the incident?
Well, so the first thing I want to say is there's a lot that they would not talk about because this incident is being investigated. Their officers are being investigated by an outside agency that is going to decide whether or not the officers handled the situation correctly. So the assistant chief was very clear that this is an open investigation. It's an internal affairs investigation. He can't talk about whether he thinks what the officers did is right or wrong. But once we sat down with him, he did say, they want to learn from this situation. They've had additional training, domestic violence training. They're open to any sort of findings that come out of this investigation. And look, we've all watched the video over and over again, and it's hard to watch. And there was even a point, I think, where the assistant chief became emotional talking to me. So, this has been a difficult time for them too.
That's really interesting. Okay, just lastly, this was something I don't think I had seen before, but the video, the body cam video, continued to the hotel where they said Brian had to spend the night in order to separate Gabby and Brian. So I just want to play a snippet of that, and I want to ask you about it on the other side. So take a look. This is Brian being checked into that hotel right after that body cam video that you just saw.
Tyson? Yep. Officer Robbins still called for me? He did, yes. This is Brian Laundrie.
I didn't even know that existed. So naturally, you, of course, went to the hotel, and what did they tell you?
Yeah, that's how we knew to go to that motel, because we zeroed right in on that part of the body cam. And again, it was sort of another frustrating dead end. Went into the motel. Basically, I was told that the person who checked Brian Laundrie in was sort of a seasonal employee and has now gone back to college and wasn't able to talk. And then also that there was no surveillance video. Again, no surveillance video at all available. So, I really wanted to find out, did Brian Laundrie actually stay the night in the motel? Is there a chance that Brian and Gabby were together again sooner than what we thought? But again, we hit dead ends there. There was no video, and the person that worked there is now gone.
Gosh, just unbelievable. Okay, Brian, don't go anywhere. We're going to squeeze in another very quick break, but afterwards, we're going to continue retracing Gabby and Brian's final moments. After that Moab incident with police, Gabby and Brian continued their journey to Jackson, Wyoming, where witnesses say they saw the couple fighting.
Yeah, guys, we tried to reach out to the hotel, and we did get a hold of someone, but they weren't able to tell us if there was two people that showered there. They did tell us that they only stayed one night. They didn't stay 2 nights. And they couldn't tell us if there was 2 people in the hotel room. So yeah, Artemis, you did that for us. Thank you so much. We all love you. Unless he made a confession, we may never know the certainty if Brian killed Gabby, and he cannot be tried for murder if he's dead. I think there's going to be enough evidence, like that girl was saying earlier on the show, to prove that Brian did it or didn't do it. And there was talk about, do you think that the Petitos should go after the Laundries? And I think they should, because if the Laundries get some sort of a book deal and they make $5 million off of this, I would be very upset by that. Hopefully they can just get a letter drafted that if they benefit in any way from Gabby's death, that all money will be forwarded to her foundation. I think that's an easier paper to draft. Any questions out there? Maureen. Let's see what's this. Carson Brindle. Yeah, that's what I'd like to think too, though I was always surprised her hair could pick it up. So I'm not sure if teeth would, since they don't grow like hair does in an adult. Yeah, so if you guys haven't heard, when Dog was on Popcorn today, he basically said he thinks it's a 50-50 chance that potentially Brian is still alive. And I, as you all know, I shoot from the hip, and okay, I don't say anything's 100% anymore, but That's literally a 1%er in my life. So the only way that they can confirm by dental records that Brian was out there and Brian's still alive, is if Brian pulled all of his teeth out and left his teeth where they found his body in that dry bag and the backpack and the notebook. So there's a 1%er. So if all your other friends are telling you that he's still alive, just give him a check. Give him a punch buggy in the arm or something. But it's like a 1%. And the one lady on earlier tonight, she alluded to it. We don't have all the information that the FBI have. And that's what we've all been patiently waiting for. Like, I was hoping we would have got something yesterday. Maybe it's going to be Friday. But I don't know. But it is good that they're taking their time, which makes me believe that potentially the reason they're taking their time is they've got some really good evidence against Chris and Roberta. And I think that they could be facing some serious jail time coming up here, especially with having the digital phone records and all that good stuff. So now that the case is coming into the forefront, pieces of it are all starting to connect together. And then the FBI, with the extra stuff that they have that we don't have, I think they're going to say, you started buying the camper because Brian called you on the 17th. Actually, he called you on the 15th because he had to get a COVID test. He had to wait 2 more days to get on the plane to come back and see you. So why was there so many phone calls here on the 15th and the 16th? How come that was a 3-hour conversation? Usually that would have been, hi, Mom, I'm doing great. Everything is great. I need to fly home. Dad wants me to clean out the locker. That's a 10-minute conversation. So I think that there's information that they have that we don't, and it's going to open up Pandora's box. And then they're going to be able to track the records between when the Laundries called the lawyer, because that lawyer was way too prepared on the 2nd with a letter in hand when they were looking to talk to Brian. And they said, nope, talk to my lawyer. End of story. So that's why we're all so invested in this case, because it just stinks to high hell. Everything. Quite literally everything. And they buy a camper that they can't go pay for. They bounce the check and then they have to go back a couple weeks later. They have a pre-reserved camping spot on the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, and then they move it to the 6th, 7th, and 8th. They're going to have phone records of everybody that went there. Maybe it wasn't Bertolino that went there. Maybe it was his brother. Maybe it was, that brother's daughter, Julia, that said, hey, here's a great place. You can go to Costa Rica. So we don't know. But I don't think that Cassie was I don't think she was aware of any of that.
August 27th is an important day in the lives of Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie, maybe the most important day. It's quite possibly the day that Gabby died. It's apparently the day she was last seen alive in public, and it was memorable. According to witnesses and restaurant staff, Gabby and Brian had lunch at the Mary Piglet's restaurant in Jackson, Wyoming. It happened in the afternoon, but it was certainly not a happy occasion.
We were at this restaurant, you guys, Friday, August 27th, 1 p.m., sitting right next to them. They got kicked out of the restaurant and were fighting with the hostess. They were fighting with the hostess. She was hysterically crying, and she walked out, and she was crying, and she was staying on the sidewalk, and I was watching the whole thing unfold. And he walked back in the restaurant and he's fighting with the hostess. And I didn't know what happened. I don't even know if they got kicked out, but they left abruptly. And she was standing on the sidewalk crying, and he walked back in and was screaming at the hostess, and then walked back out. And then he walked back in 4 more times to talk to the manager and to tell the hostess off.
So Brian Enton, this is important. You visited the Mary Piglet's restaurant just in the last 2 days. And I want you to, if you can, characterize for me the conversation that you had with the manager of that restaurant.
So this was just last night, Ashley. This was right before they closed. I mean, we were on your show last night. We were driving like all the way from Moab to here and stopped in Salt Lake. So we were like trying to get here right before they closed. We got there right before they closed. The manager and the staff were all inside sort of together, like kind of talking right before closing. And I went inside and I spoke with the manager, immediately told her who I was. And she immediately said, like, what you've heard about what happened here is not what really happened. She didn't want to go on camera, but take a look. She says everything that's been on the news about what happened here is made up. She says there was no loud voices, no one got angry, no one threw a fit here. But she says that Gabby and Brian did leave the restaurant without paying, and she says that the server followed them outside, that they paid the bill out here on the street, and that Brian was very calm, but then that they came back into the restaurant together, and that Gabby said that she wanted her money back, and the restaurant said that we're not going to give you your money back, and that then Gabby and Brian left. Yeah, so I had Luis, my photographer, shoot that because I wanted to like get it out right away because I had just heard her explain all of this. But it was interesting because it was so different than the other witness account. And I told the manager that, and she's like, yeah, it's not true. That's not what happened. She goes, it was all a very somewhat calm situation in her words.
You know, it's so interesting. And this is where I'm so glad that, you know, early in my professional career, I was a waitress and a bartender and a bouncer, 6 years of it. So I know intimately the functioning of a restaurant. And I also know that oftentimes the manager's not there for everything. So I am and I also love covering trials where many witnesses bring their story to the stand and give a fulsome picture of what happened. And one witness's account isn't always the same. And sometimes they're contiguous. So I'm very curious as to whether that Instagrammer, Nina Seeley, saw something that the manager didn't see, because if the manager only thinks that was a walkout on a check, there may very well have been something quite aggressive happening next to Nina's table, as she seems very certain of what she witnessed. So I'm not prepared to sort of discount the Instagrammer. I think that there could be many different versions of what it looked like to them, but certainly the same version that comes from everybody is that Gabby was upset. That's for sure. Okay, just quickly, I want to take you back for a minute to the Salt Lake City Hotel. I know I'm circling back, but I think it's an important moment because there is video of Gabby leaving that hotel, and it's important to know all the places where she was seen on video. But characterize for me why that's important.
It's important because that is where Brian left Gabby when he returned home to Florida to apparently clean out this storage unit. And so that was another one of the stops that we made, hoping to get some information because, you know, that's kind of one of the mysteries. What was Gabby doing during that time? What was happening? And again, it was just sort of immediate shutdown. The manager and the clerk knew why we were there, said that they couldn't talk. There was a restaurant attached that we sort of thought, well, perhaps Gabby ate there because she was at this hotel alone for so long. So we also went to the restaurant, and I think the manager called ahead and kind of warned them that we were coming. And so they also just immediately shut us down. So we didn't really gain any insight into, we know Gabby was there, but we don't know much more than that still.
Okay, Brian, don't go away. The most solemn, honestly, the most solemn stop on the journey of that you've just been through had to be where they eventually found Gabby, and there were some messages there that you have discovered, messages for her, and so we're going to check in with you and find out what you saw. That's coming next.
Welcome to Allstate, where you can pay a little less and enjoy the ride a little more.
Okay, sorry about that, guys. 1 sec. So that's the one reason why we need boots on the ground all the time. Just let me turn this stupid light down a little tiny bit. There we go. So yeah, that's why we need to have boots on the ground, because you know, from Nina's vantage point, that thing was a serious blow up, like going in and out 4 times. I could never understand that. But Ashley also brings up a good point. Like, the manager might not have seen everything, right? So they might have walked out because they didn't want to pay the bill because of some reason. But then while the manager got involved and he went out there, then he probably said, look, or she went out there and probably said, look, you got to pay this bill. And then Gabby might have come back in. So it still fits. But again, different viewpoints from different witnesses. What is the longest amount of time you have driven consistently? Does the timeline indicate he drove back 35 hours without stopping? Well, he made some changes to his Spotify account. I think he added like 7 songs or something, and they were very weird individual songs. The longest one I've ever done is we drove from here down to San Francisco. We met up with a buddy of ours from junior high. We went and saw Joe Montana play his last game as a 49er. And then we ended up, the buddy that we went to saw, he was babysitting or looking after Joe's kids. And so we ended up staying in the Sierra Nevadas in Joe Montana's cabin, I think. And yeah, we did a bunch of snowboarding, had a great time. So that was a good trip. But yeah, we did that basically after Christmas and just drove like crazy. 24 hours or 19 hours, I think it took us straight. We just swapped back and forth. Nope, I was positive it wasn't real. Gavis was convinced. We fought. I called the restaurant and spoke with the waitress, and she was like, never happened. Wasn't that that was the Bullwinkle stuff that we argued about, right, Art? But Artemis is our spy. She calls in and she gets all the information from our individuals. My dad was in his 50s and drove from Colorado to Cali straight through. It's doable. There you go. I don't think as a trucker, because you have to have a logbook if you're a trucker. So those things have to be dead straight. I was thinking the first 1K might have come from there too, but I guess it was a check. But maybe Brian took the money from her account and gave it to them. This whole case is bizarro. Agreed. Expect the unexpected with this case, right, guys? It's just crazy at every turn. And now we're still waiting on the information. So this case isn't over yet. We've got a ways to go. Yeah, when they say over 1,000, I suspect he probably took the daily limit out on those 3 days. So he probably pulled 400, 400, 400. So he probably pulled 1,200. And it sounds like he was broke, right? Apparently he might have tried to pay for the tab at Mary Piglet and couldn't.
On August 24th, Nicole Schmidt got something absolutely every mother loves, and that's a FaceTime call from her daughter who was traveling. That daughter was Gabby Petito, and that FaceTime was the last time that Nicole ever laid eyes on her. Gabby had called her to say that she and her fiancé, Brian Laundrie, were leaving Utah and heading to the beautiful Teton Mountain Range in Wyoming. We know they made it there because, as remote as it is, their white van was caught on video. It turns out the Spread Creek campground was on the itinerary of YouTubers Red, White, and Bethune as well, who drove right by Gabby and Brian's van.
As we're coming up on it, we're approaching it up here on the left.
See that left right there?
This is most definitely Gabby Petito's Ford Transit van. It's kind of wild, like it's insane a little bit, because we drove past, we actually weren't able to find any sites, and we ended up driving back through, saw it again, but here it is on the left. So,
and I slowed it down so you can possibly see it a little bit better.
And I used to always think that hat was...
It is actually almost eerie to see out that driver's side window as Bethune passes right by that white van.
I used to always think that hat was Gabby's hat, but it's Baldo's. He wears it all the time to protect his bald head.
To be close to the site where Gabby's remains were found. Newsnation's Brian Enton has made the exact same trip to the exact same spot, seeing for himself if there were clues that we may have missed, things that we may have overlooked, and he's live in Grand Teton Park, Wyoming. So, Brian, now that we've got that perspective of where the van was parked and that it's fairly close to the site of the remains, you took the trip from that parking spot to the remains on foot. I want you to just sort of tell me about it and then show me your journey.
Well, first of all, Ashley, we actually used that YouTube blogger's video to find the spot. Like, I was holding the video, and we were
Allie and Dan.
looking at the trees, and the time of year is different. There's not as much greenery, but we used the video to find where the van was, and then I knew that the place where the body was about 1,000 feet out into the right. So we went out there, and it's farther than you think. That's the first thing that really struck me. It's not that close, and you have to go through 2 small creeks and then a small river and actually get wet to get to it. But take a look. It's a bit of a trek back to the site through several different creeks. Back behind the tree line, with only the sound of the rushing water, we found the place. So this is the spot where Gabby's body was discovered, right here in between these trees. You can see there's this stone cross. This is the cross
Dawn,
that
do you
Gabby's
see now?
stepdad created here when he visited the site where her body was found. Gabby's van was parked about 1,000 feet that way on the other side of all of those creeks.
So, Brian, just those rocks and stones with messages, you cannot miss those. They are new. We didn't see them when we saw the original stone cross laid by Jim Schmidt, Gabby's stepdad. Where did they come from? Who laid them? What are the messages?
So there are a number of them, rest in peace, Gabby. There were some letters etched into a tree right there. And that is that cross where Gabby's stepdad, left the stones. That is the spot where her body was. But the other interesting thing is there are other stone crosses that have popped up all in that area. Like right near the van, there were a couple more. And then there was another one right by the river. So it was a bit confusing, honestly, when we got there, because I was looking for that one spot and I knew that wasn't it. But yeah, there are some messages and people have clearly found the spot that want to go out and, and sort of remember Gabby there.
I just honestly can't believe that you could find it. 1,000 feet in any slight, variation of direction can be a long way away. And the fact that everyone else has been able to find that very same spot. And you know what? Her dad was right to say it's a beautiful area for her to rest in peace. It's still tragic and upsetting to see it, though. Hey, Brian, amazing work. Just fantastic work. Thank you so much for all of this.
Yeah, thanks, Ashley. I just want to say, just lastly, being out there, I was thinking of Gabby's parents and what you mentioned. I mean, such a horrible ending to Gabby's life there, but it is such a beautiful place. And Gabby loved nature, and hopefully that can at least bring her parents some peace.
It's very kind of you to button with that. Thank you, Brian Enton, again with his cameraman Luis, just doing incredible work. They barely slept, so there'll be something in your Christmas stocking, Brian. Thank you.
It's like there better be.
All right, we're going to let him finally get some sleep. And then coming up, we're going to shift a little bit here. How tough is it going to be to get answers about that fatal shooting inside that church on the movie set of the Alec Baldwin film? Because 1 week out, not everyone is talking. I'm going to explain that next with the sheriff. He joins me live.
Well, guys, what are your thoughts? Give me some questions. And do you think they should make Brian Enton drive back home? Poor guy's so tired. That'd be such a kick in the pants. Imagine what Brian Enton has just done. So from August 12th to 27th, Brian basically did all that drive in 2 days. So they have been moving, absolutely moving. Yeah, I want the FBI to open up too. That's a great comment. I mean, I was hoping for Wednesday, it didn't happen. And we're getting closer to maybe Friday, and then we can have a good weekend and celebrate. Yeah, no, the FBI definitely, they've got all the cyber information that we want. Oh. Hi, Dawn. How are you?
Hello.
What's
So I was just wondering, I didn't see a whole lot of, and I know that wasn't his goal, but of anything of the Crystal and Kylan location.
and that's the shame, right? Is that I don't know what it is. People don't have the intellectual fortitude to take the time and put it all together, and it pisses me off, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think right now Sean Paul could have a lawsuit against those police, like, easily.
Oh, definitely. I think so
Right?
too. But I can't imagine what he's feeling, knowing that he's out there and covering Gabby and not including them. I don't know.
Exactly. So did I help you a lot today with the timeline?
Very much so. Thank you. Yeah. Filled in so many gaps and things that I didn't want to acknowledge.
Right.
And I still kind of like blinders on about it. But yeah, very much so.
Okay. Well, Mo is in the deck, so I want to let her get in here too. Okay.
You got it. Thanks, Gab.
Yeah. No problem. Hey.
Hello.
So
how's it going?
I'm great. Are you all excited to go through Chloe, or do you want me to do it?
Yes.
Oh, you're gonna do it?
I'm excited. I'd love to have a co-host. I think we can go at it together because I think we always have slightly different viewpoints.
Okay.
But
when are you thinking that you want to do that?
I don't know. I fly back to Vancouver on Saturday, so anytime after that. Yeah.
Back to Vancouver. Oh, I
Yeah.
love Vancouver. I love Vancouver.
I know.
Whistler and everything. Maybe that's where we'll dock the catamaran when we get one.
That'd be nice. Yeah,
Right.
right across from the seawall, right across from Falls Creek.
My dad used to have an island just off of Nanaimo there called Winchelsea, and
Sorry, he had
we used
an
to
island?
go. Yeah, so
Very
we
nice.
would go out there and do salmon fishing, and it's just beautiful. But I've got it in my head that I want a catamaran. I just think it would be amazing to put the sails up and go across the Atlantic or the Pacific and just go see Bali. I mean, everything.
Yeah, that would be awesome. And I love the idea of having some sort of a timeshare or something like a safe house or just something to donate to people who just like really need to exhale.
Yeah, or even if somebody
like the
really
whole town
needs
of
it,
Moab.
if somebody really needs it in our group, we can just say, look, take a week, go power down and just relax. Just get yourself to this point, and there you go.
Yeah, totally. Well, okay, so something that I didn't know today was about the witness who like initially came out talking about Brian and Gabby having that argument and how Brian was yelling and everything. I had no
Nina.
idea. I didn't even.
You didn't know about Nina Soleil? Well, the reason
I knew
most people,
about her,
the
but I
reason
didn't
people,
know.
the
Yeah,
reason,
go ahead.
The reason people don't play it is because she swears like a trucker in that video, and it's hard to put on your channel. Otherwise, if you're on YouTube, you're gonna get, you're gonna get
Demonetized.
exactly. So that's why
Mhm.
those guys don't do it. But I'll
Well,
play it.
I knew about her and I knew about her recollection of the event. I just didn't know that her like Art was saying that she had called the restaurant and said it's actually not a true story. And to think that Gabby had gone in to try to get their money back, like that just opens up a world of possibility to me.
It does, but it doesn't. It's just two different people from a different vantage point, I think, right? I think if you were dealing with the exact waitress that was responsible for their table, you'd get a completely different what's going on. So very interesting though, right? I know we were dead set on that. We could never get over that hurdle of why would someone go back into a restaurant 4 times? Because I think I told you guys many times that there's no way on earth I would. If it was the worst food, if there was a hair and a fingernail, I would just be like, all right, fine. I'm out.
I'd be the person to be like, yeah, it's great. I love the food. I'll just scrape this part off the, it's just, I guess it just gives context to their arguing and, like we kind of talked about on Discord today, it's the possibility, the other possibilities, we've been hyper focusing on one person, and it's hard to imagine that the other person the world has been grieving could have, we like to, paint everyone with a broad brush. And for some people, we paint it really nicely with lots of colors and, sunshine and rainbows.
I just had another thought.
Do I want to hear it?
If Brian was broke and he couldn't afford to pay for Mary Piglet, what if, knowing that Kylan and Crystal were selling dope, what if he snuck out in the middle of the night to try to rob them and take their money? And maybe that was part of the reason.
That's true. Or taking their
stuff
to sell.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, who knows? I mean, anything could happen. And who knows what we'll discover. I'm glad Brian Enton is there. He's a fantastic reporter. I think Ashley asks the right questions as well. So I'm happy they're onto it. But
she's brilliant. Yeah. No, she's
incredible.
She's spectacular. And I love that fact that she's got a bar background. She's seen it all. She knows people's moves before they move, and she knows how to get the right questions out there. She's amazing.
That's right. So
is Brian. They're all amazing.
Yeah, it's too bad about his name though. I mean, he should probably shorten it. Just be called Enton or something. I feel bad for all Brians in the world.
True.
Had never met a laundry before the Stamp family, so they can keep the laundry name. But another question I had was, has there been any talk about drafting up a warrant for the laundries? I mean, do we have enough?
I think there will be enough evidence, especially when you look at that timeline, like coming back for 6 days to put things or take things out of a storage locker or move things out of a condo, which is what the general consensus is now. That doesn't take 6 days. So
was that the condo is the general consensus then? We're kind of
but it's not the 259, it's the other one. I think it's the 5100 one. So
okay, I'll have to go back.
Yeah.
Cool. Well,
so Carly's on deck, and she's been putting a lot of work into the Sydney West case. So
great timing, Carly. I'll let you have it. I'll say goodbye, and I'll be back. See you on Discord.
See you there. Hi, Carly. You're on.
Hi. How are you guys doing?
We're doing great, and
everyone's good.
Yeah. So I guess where Mo stands on what we're going to do with the Chloe case. So hopefully you'll do the same thing, and you'll come forward and help us get up to speed on Sydney.
Yeah, see, I was really excited when I saw that she was on. I was like, oh man, yes. Because I talked to her earlier, and we talked about, I was like, what's your timeline template so we can try and keep things generally the same? I think the more organized we are, the more we can get done. So
yeah, and I'll have to go back and I'll have to do my timeline for this as well. I know Aaron was doing his timeline tonight, and there was a couple of errors in there, which is too bad. But yeah, if we can keep it consistent, I don't mind if Aaron takes our timeline and goes out there. I think he's doing great work. And yeah, just keep a consistent, factual, logical eye out there in the media, because it's just getting ridiculous now. We've got ex-girlfriends coming out of the woodwork. We've got dentists. We've got
oh my God.
Brian's sightings in New Bern, North Carolina. We've got Appalachian Trail, white trucks. I mean, the stuff that we've had to ferret out. We had a Bullwinkle eyewitness that said they saw Brian, all that kind of stuff. It's just, the biggest part of the job is killing all the fake news. The actual case itself isn't that difficult. But
oh, not at all. I always go with, if I can find 3 sources that say the same general thing, then that's real. I don't trust just one source. I can't, because I can't do it. I've seen so much fake news over the last few years, and I'm like, no. If I don't have 3 sources, I don't have anything.
And then sometimes you only get one little clip of something to help you get somewhere, and you need it to get to the next point, right? So
oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So that's what I'm about. I try to use logic and reasoning to get to where I go, and I know it's easier to just sit on the fence and not take a position, but that's not what I do.
Me either.
And if
And
you
I think
don't
that's
like
why I
it,
like you.
and if you don't like it, there's plenty of people out there with fluff. But if you want to come get some facts, stay with us and stay with this team. It's insane.
I definitely plan to.
Good.
So yeah, I just want to call in and explain that I was working on that Sydney West case, and it is crazy. The fact that there's like live stream cameras on, like you can just go on and watch it live stream.
Right. You were telling me about that. Some guy was actually using that to find people that were jumping off the bridge and make clips of it or something.
I'm trying to figure out how to go back so I can see that day that she was last seen, because they say there was a lot of fog, but I don't know. I want to see it.
Yeah, it can be really foggy. I've been out there to San Francisco and it's crazy. Like it just rolls in and it's thick.
Well, that does make sense, I guess, at the end of September, especially around water.
Mm-hmm.
It's the time of day that makes me think that there was not as much fog as they're saying, though.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I'm
yeah,
gonna work on that.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, we got one more person on deck, and we'll look forward to that. And we'll schedule a time to make that a premiere. We'll do the same thing with Mo's case and Chloe, and maybe we can start to finally get some boots on the ground and get some people together. And if we can raise enough money, I have no issue firing that money to some people that are on the ground and get some real answers. Because as you see with Brian Enton, we got a different story at the Mary Piglet than what we've been believing for almost 5 weeks now. So
Yeah, that was insane. I couldn't believe that. It was a totally different story. I love Brian Enton for what he's doing, by the way.
yeah, that's what you have to do. We have to get boots on the ground, and that's why my little rabbit is named Boots, because it's that important. So thank you, Carly, and we look forward to seeing your premiere. And I'm just going to bring in Live, Love, Laugh here in a second.
All right. Have a good one.
Live, Love, Laugh, or Live, Laugh, Love. You're on.
Okay, I got a question.
Uh-oh.
Have you looked into the records of the family's property, and then it's selling and then putting it in the Woody name? $10?
Not the Woody name. They've changed the juicer company over to his brother. Chris has changed it over to Joe. We've got a history of every single property that the Laundries had in New York, every single property that they've owned and swapped and sold in Florida. So we've got all that stuff. Is somebody else giving you fake news again?
No, I'm gonna pull it up and I'm gonna shoot you the picture.
Okay, yeah, shoot it to me in Discord, and I'll investigate it. But it sounds like yet again another person trying to get clicks or views, and it's just disgusting.
It's not. No, it's on the records when you pull it up. I want to say that it was the condo.
Which one? The 259, the 6100? I've got them all in my head. We can keep going.
Okay, I don't know which one, because you keep that stuff in your head better than I do. I've got a husband and I see you, so I'm focused on that too, but still trying to stay in the loop. Okay, so that, and I'm gonna send you a shot of that, and another one too.
Okay, yeah, but let's if we look at
I'm
the
gonna
forest.
I'm gonna send it to you, and then you can, if people have question or you see something, you can send it out or whatever.
Yeah, no, it's fine. But I just also want you to be aware that the Laundries bounced a check for a camper.
Yes, and then they went back.
So if you're going to go down the real estate route where you think they have a lot of assets and money, they don't.
No, the route was let's get what we can out of our name.
Okay.
Because there's a specific word, but I cannot remember it, that it states at the top, but I can't remember the name. But anyway, I'm gonna send you that information, and you can look at it, and you may have said, "Nah, I'm not real sure." But anyways, it does state that they did sell it for $10 in the records.
Okay, yeah, and so if people are unclear, like in the old days, what people used to do is transfer things for $1, but the general thing that they do now is they use $10 just as a nominal sum, just so people know.
And my next one was, I'm gonna get you her name, and maybe you can reach out to her about the fact that the uncle is a dentist. He
Yeah,
really is a dentist.
Yeah, we're working with Riley Lively. She's working hard to debunk that right now, and well, she's working on her own. But we've reached out to her to get her to come on, or we'll go on her show or whatever. But yeah, she's tenacious. When she digs into something, she goes after it. So.
Yeah, and then another thing I wanted to say is, regardless of that,
right.
And I'm going to say it the way the person said it, which makes so much sense. But they send this off to the, I'm not sure if I say it right, entomologist.
Entomologist. Mm-hmm.
We do have to remember, these people that it is sent to, they dig into dinosaur bones. You know what I mean?
That was dog today. Yeah.
No. Before him, it wasn't. It wasn't just dog. No, it wasn't just dog. He probably got saying also too from this person, but
he's absolutely right for sure. Right, that's how the storyline for Jurassic Park came about.
Yeah, and another people, I know that we've had a lot of being deceived by the police, so we don't know who to believe or who not to believe. But I guarantee you, the FBI knows way more than we can ever imagine. And believe you me, they are not going to lie for nobody.
Exactly. No, they're going to come out, and I'm hoping that they come out with everything. And they just blitzkrieg us. They give us the note. They give us the laundries in handcuffs. They give us a connection to the girls in Moab. Yep. I think we're gonna get overloaded here. Is what's gonna happen actually.
And now do you see why I was laughing when you said, "Oh well, Thursday we'll have information"? I said, "Okay, we'll see."
Well, I made that. Well, I'm probably just hopeful, right? Because we're running out of things to talk about on this show, and you know that's why we took last night off, because there was no new news. So what's the point?
I'm gonna give you mine, and you send me a Coke, or I'll send you a Coke. Let's give it 2 more weeks. At least
2 more weeks.
Yes, sir.
Oh God, can we wait that long? I mean,
look. I would rather wait that long than be told a bunch of crock every day.
Well,
I want the FBI to have everything, because feel like
I'd like can they give us a steady stream? Like, just give us 2 or 3 talking points and then move on, so we can get over that. Because if they send it all to us at once, like we're gonna keel over and have heart attacks.
It's gonna be all at once, and we're gonna keel over and we're gonna have a heart attack, and that's just gonna be that.
Exactly right.
Because when they come out, they're gonna come out guns hot. And the laundries ain't gonna know what slapped them, and it ain't gonna be Bernalino slapping them.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think you're gonna see a lot of dominoes fall when the FBI finally comes out with their information, for sure.
So just maybe a little sooner, but about 2 more weeks. But when they come out and y'all see the FBI's fixing to talk, put your armies on, your life raft, and be ready. And don't have nothing in your mouth that you're going to choke over, because it's going to be a chokeable one.
Well, that's one of my smoking cessation things, Thrive lozengers.
All right, that's what I wanted to say. But yeah, they know a lot, and I'll shoot you that information.
All right, cool.
You just go where you want with it.
You can just DM it to me in Discord, and then I'll for sure catch it.
Okay, because my Discord and all that's acting funny. Like right now, I'm having to do Facebook.
Oh,
So
oh,
it's
okay.
crazy. So, all right, I'll get it in there somehow, some way.
Okay, thanks.
All right,
Thank-
guys. Y'all be
Okay.
good. Thanks. Bye.
Bye. Okay, so what I'm going to show you guys now, let me do it this way. These guys are still yammering away. But what I wanted to show you guys, I'll show you merch. Okay, so I love these sweatpants. So the sweatpants you see me wearing all the time, they have this, they call it Sherpa. So it's going to be these sweatpants as merch. And they're the most comfortable thing in the world, especially if you live in a cold area like I do. You can get different colors, navy, charcoal, whatever. And then the next thing is just going to be this. It's got pockets, front zipper, and again, you can use black or gray, purple. And these are only things that I like that are comfortable. So you can see these have the Sherpa lining as well. Not as thick as the sweatpants, but it's still, if you're cold, get nice and comfy, and you'll enjoy those. And then the other thing I was going to bring up was just what the logo is going to look like. So there's a couple. I've got a whole bunch of different ones. So it's either going to be this, Gablock True Crime, or it'll just be the bunny. So I think that'll put a little bit of a stamp on what we do, and we'll have a sticker like this if you want to put a sticker on a coffee mug, or you want to put a sticker on the back window of your car. That's kind of what we're thinking. And we're not trying to make a huge profit or anything. I guess you guys know what we're trying to do. We're trying to, raise enough funds to do, get boots on the ground, do that kind of stuff. I just wanted to touch on this as well before we shut down, or if you guys want to call in, the StreamYard's at the bottom of the banner right now. And yeah, get us some more quick calls. But I want to quickly touch on this. This picture was taken on the 13th of August. So the traffic stop was on the 12th. This picture was taken on the 13th, and you can see the sun. It's going down. This is earlier. You can see the shadow. This tree here, there's only one place that you'll see this, and it is at the Turd Arch. So a lot of people get confused when they're looking through here. So here's the Delicate Arch all the way back over here. This is where you see Gabby sitting on the rock on this ledge. And the Turd Arch are two different things. So I just wanted to bring it up, and I want to show you guys that tree because it's in one of these pictures. So you know that it's actually that one. So these are those steps up there, and you can see these little trees. But there's one coming up here, and it's that exact tree right here. See? So everybody tries to get this photo up with that tree, and that's it. So very important that you understand that in the timeline, because the stop was on the 12th. Here's the tree on the 13th. I heard some horrible crap from the PI that was talking about a picture taken on the 10th. Get your head out of your ass. Like, that kind of shit just infuriates me. All you have to do is go here and have a look, for God's sake. Really makes me question what he's actually trying to do there. Pisses me off. Hi, how you doing?
Hi, can you hear me?
I sure can. You're perfect.
Oh, hi, it's H-Dubs.
Hey, how's it going?
Oh, I don't know. This case has made me really sad.
Yeah, we're all kind of annoyed with this thing, right?
It's just such a mess on so many different levels, and no one is cooperating or
seemingly telling the truth from the Northport police to the FBI. I mean, the Laundrie family is just, I don't have any words for them. I don't wish anything bad upon anybody, but like, if I have a daughter and if her fiance came home without her, I would be in jail. Like that wouldn't be okay at all.
No.
But there's just so many odd things. Did you all see the article that came out that had this? I'm going to try to find the link here. It had, I know the other caller was talking about the properties that are owned.
Right.
And there was this article that came out and it said something about Brian Laundrie being the boy on the other side of the tracks. And they listed the property that his parents own on First Avenue. 322 First Avenue in, is it Bayport or Bayside, Bay Point?
So that is that in New York?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I don't think the Laundries own crap in New York anymore.
Well,
So there was things that they did own like ages ago, but no. Like even Joe got signed over the juicer company, right? So Chris's brother has been given the juicer company. He's now the president of that juicer company.
Well, okay, so here it is here. It's from the New York Post, and it's titled Inside Brian Laundrie's and Gabby Petito's Life with His Parents. And they had, like, if you Google the address that he lived at, it was 332 First Avenue in Bayport, and it was years before the Laundries moved to Florida. But what's really odd about this is that if you Google it and you go to the address, you can't, Google has completely blurred it out. You can't see the home at all. And then if you go into her address, which they list here as well, let's see, 75. Oh, they must have taken it out of the article. It was in here before. It was like
75 East Main Street, East Slip.
No, it was in Bay Point.
I've got it up on the screen right now.
Oh, you have it? I'm not looking at it. Because I had to close out of YouTube to get into StreamYard.
So there's every address right here.
Right. Okay. So if you go and you look at that, did you notice on the records that the last name outside of her stepfather on that property is it's not Petito, it's just Petit, P-E-T-I-T. Like, is that a connection to the Petitos?
No, the Petitos lived here. So, or the Schultzes lived here.
Right, but if you look up the property records for the one on 75 East Main,
yeah,
there's the before the Schultzes, before her mother and her stepfather owned the property. There is now, it looks like there is.
This is the address for the Bertolino South Shore Pool Company.
The Bertolinos.
Yeah. So this is the Stephen.
No,
Bertolino.
I'm talking about Gabby Petito's family.
Right. So this is where people could generate fake news, and you have you ought to trust me on this, okay? So I'm looking at it right now on the screen, and it says South Shore Pools, and I know that Stephen Bertolino owns this pool company. So the address 75.
That's not the one that I'm talking about. That's not the one.
Which one are you talking about? 332?
Hold on. I have it here. Oh, 75 Ocean Avenue in Blue Point. Did you find it?
Yeah. So this is right here.
This is the one that they said that Gabby lived at with her mom and dad, with Nicole.
Okay. Well, that one's news. That one's news to me, because the one that I thought that they lived at, that might have been years and years ago when she was like before they got divorced. Okay, maybe.
Yeah, let me put in here.
But that's going to be irrelevant to the entire case, right?
Well, this is what I was thinking too. But then what was interesting to me is that the last name, it's so close to Petito, but it's Petit, and I don't know if this has anything to do with anything at all. But I just thought that it was odd that the names are so different. And but they're the same. There's only like an O at the end, right?
Yeah. Right.
And like, are they related to these people? And I just posted the article. I don't know if you can see it. But I just think the whole thing is so weird. And it's either a cut and dry thing where they got into an argument, he killed her, he told his parents, they hid the whole thing from everyone.
I think it was planned all the way. So if you look at the picture in Ogden, Utah, which is just outside of Salt Lake, that's a post that Brian posted, and that little emoji in the corner had a pumpkin and a pumpkin and a fly in it.
Fly.
Right. So I think Brian knew all along that he was going to kill her. I don't think this was a crime of passion or any crap like that. So
agreed. I have a question though, because my mind goes in one of two directions. Either this is really cut and dry and plain and simple, or it's completely complex beyond what we could believe. And I know that there's a lot of, and hear me out here, I know this sounds crazy, and I'm really not a conspiracy theorist, but everything about this case is so bizarre. There's a lot of trafficking that goes on with humans in Utah and Wyoming, especially, okay? There's such a great deal of missing people's communities there, and it's so sad. What if him and his family planned this all along and it just went really badly and blew up in their face?
You think they were going to traffic Gabby?
I know it sounds nuts, but I mean, everything about this case is nuts. And I'm not even a conspiracy theorist.
Well, that's even more nutty.
I know.
Sorry to be rude, but it doesn't make sense. That's his fiance. You just sometimes you have to take a step back when you see some of this fake news. I've been through it so much now that I can pretty much ferret it out right away. Right. So that's not the case. Sorry, but it just can't be, right? And
don't you think that they had something to do with it outside of just hiding the fact that he murdered her? I mean, why did he go back to Florida if he didn't have any money and he couldn't pay for dinner? Why wouldn't they just rent the storage unit for another month instead of buying a plane ticket for him to go back home, to fly back to Utah, and then pay for a whole stint for Gabby to stay in a hotel? Why?
Okay, let me give you a little bit. So every time it seems that he kills somebody, he runs back to mommy and daddy. So if he did kill the two girls in Moab, that explains why he went back home.
I think he had something to do with that.
Oh, I know he did. So when it comes out and it proves it, and I'll be vindicated, that'll be fine. But in the meantime, if there's more information comes out and I'm wrong, I'll eat the crow. But everything that I've looked at, there's just no way he's not involved. So
do you think that he saw the young lady in the Moonflower, and that when he was staying in the Bowen Hotel, which was right across the street from the Moonflower, that's when he decided to?
No, because what I just brought up on the screen, love, is Brian on the 13th, which is the day after. And if you, here, let me put it up for everybody. I apologize, guys.
Yeah, I can't see it.
So this picture here, this is also taken on the 13th. Okay, right here, 13th. Yeah. So that's the next day. So after the traffic stop, they were told to separate. Okay. Yep. This is later on that evening at the 13th.
Right.
And this is at Third Arch. This isn't Delicate Arch. This is Third Arch. It's much, much, much closer to town.
Got it.
But the sun is almost setting down. So in about 7 hours from now is when Kylan and Crystal are murdered.
Did you see Brian Enton's coverage of that yet?
He hasn't done any.
I saw little bits and pieces. He has a couple of things on his Twitter, and then there's another Twitter user that also did an interview with the woman
it was Cindy Sue.
That found her, and then they showed where the bodies were found, and they were both kind of found in the water. They're like a little creek, and like the one
I'm well aware of it. And if you go back and you watch Pascal, he does an incredible interview exclusive with Cindy Sue Hunter, and he does such a great job. She's relaxed, she's able to share everything, so it's better than having videotape of the actual crime scene. The way that Cindy Sue describes that. So
Yeah, it's awful. Like the whole thing is just awful, and I pray for everybody. And it just feels like it's kind of like a hijacked energy situation. We're also invested in it, and it's almost like it's like a distraction. Like what is going on over here on the right side of the room while we're looking at this over here on the left, you know?
I know. And then we get one person that comes in and gives us a wrench and throws the whole timeline out of whack. So
Well, that's why I don't necessarily believe that they were trafficked. I'm not that crazy, but like everything about this case is so strange that nothing would surprise me at this point. If they said that aliens did it, and I don't even know that I believe in, well, I'm not so dumb to believe that humans are the only life form. I don't know that I believe in aliens, though. I'm not going to go that far off the path here. But you know, I don't know, man. Like everything about this case has been so weird, and I feel so bad for everybody involved. But thank you so much.
Hey, no worries. But I also want to tell you, like, I have videos of all of this stuff too, right? So if you wanna get real information, go into my Twitch. I have every single long video that explains everything. They're all labeled. I've even got a timeline that I put out probably a month ago that goes through the entire timeline. So go watch that. It's very long. It's 3 hours and 44 minutes for me to get through everything. But I've also got other videos that focus just on Kylan and Crystal.
Oh, good. Yeah, I don't know much about that one. I know.
So I promise, go watch that, and you will get all of this bullshit out of your head.
That would be great. I'll go ahead and I'll do that. And thank you so much for creating this. I'm brand new. I've never even called in before. So thank you. And yeah, thank you for doing the good work. And I can't wait to see what more you guys are going to create. And hopefully we'll get some answers, because I know how heartbreaking this is for everybody. And God bless everyone, and have a great night. Thanks for letting me call in.
Okay, thanks, Dubs. Katie, how are you? Are you still there? She probably went to the bathroom. We've been talking so long. Katie, your mic's muted when you're ready. Oh, I wasn't too mean with her, was I, guys? You said go easy on them tonight. It's all right. I don't mind. Let those through. I enjoy it. We need another caller. Katie seems to be AFK. I do want to convert them. I really truly do. I'm up to my neck in people that come up with these crazy ideas. Brian Zinta is gone? How did I get it then? Should I never close this tab? Because this is Brian's Insta. This tree is critical. Understanding that this... Oh, can I? So there's Turd Arch. Let's just do it. Let's go directions. So there, an hour and 8 minutes, and the sun was about 3 hours from setting. So we can assume that they went back to Moab. And so let's do Woody's. Oh, somebody got here. So we can take that one out. And now we get down to 38 minutes from Woody's to there. Kate, are you back?
Yes, I'm back, but I was just listening in. I don't have any information. I want to learn more.
Oh, that's good. All right. Well, we can you can hang out here, and I'll just mute you. And if you want something, I don't know, write something in chat. Here, let me do this, guys. I'll just get rid of her. Sorry. So yeah, just understand that this is 13th. It's getting very late at night. They might have come back to Moab. And remember how they used to say that they would stay in parking lots and stuff like that? Like, they could have parked here. They could have parked at Woody's and seen them come by. Like, there's a lot of things they could have done. Kate, you still have your microphone muted.
Yes, I do. As I told you, I don't have any information. I wanted to know more about the body, the way it was found, only bones, only partial. If you have any theories for that.
Whose body?
Oh, I'm sorry. The killer. Laundry.
Of Brian's body. Well,
Yes.
I'm 99% certain that it is Brian's body. Just the fact that his father found the dry bag, they found the backpack, they found the notebook, they found the water bottle, and then ultimately they found Brian's body or fragments of his partial remains. There's a lot of boars in that area. The other thing that people don't keep in mind is that on the 14th, when Brian is assumed to have been in the reserve, the water level wasn't as high as it got once they started searching in there, right? They started searching in there pretty aggressively for almost a month. So gradually, as they got into the search, there was the rainy season in Florida. And so everything started to fill up, especially the low areas. And I know people just can't believe that Christopher Laundrie was better than all those searchers in there, but I'm sure that Chris was in there before with certain spots that Brian would have ventured to. So he would have had more insight and a better place to look, potentially, like, little trees or things where Brian might have said, well, this is a great place to read a book. You can, lean back here. You don't see anybody on the main path. So that's kind of what I was thinking. All right. And then she left. And she's back.
I'm so sorry. I just never used this application at all. I use Twitch usually. You're streaming right now on Twitch?
Yeah, and YouTube.
Oh, okay. Maybe I should go there.
Oh, it doesn't
I'm
matter.
so sorry.
No,
So
don't worry
sorry.
about it.
So
It's okay.
sorry to interrupt. Thank you.
No, it's all good. Okay, let's go back to this. But yeah, everything is too close, right? There's shopping centers where they could have gotten there. They went to a friend's place after they left Woody's. And so when Kylan and Crystal went out here to their new site, they didn't get back here until probably like 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock at night. Well, it's more like 12. So, Brian could have hung out anywhere. Like, he knows that anybody camping out this way, they have to go past this road, right? So there's tons of places. Like, he could have parked in here. He could have parked on this road. And further back, like, there's just tons of places. Like, you could have looked anywhere. You could have been parked right here and just been waiting to see if he turned this way or that way. So trust me, I've looked at every angle. I promise. Yeah, harder questions are better. Honestly, I want hard questions. Uh-oh. Here comes trouble. Hey, Trouble.
Hello.
How are you?
I actually have a question.
Oh, good.
It just popped in my head, and I don't remember seeing it anywhere. But do we know if Uncle Joe and Bertolino are friends too?
Good point. I don't know if we've drawn a connection between them, but I'm assuming...
I want to go digging on this now.
I'm assuming, I'm just going to put it out there, but if the Laundries were friends with each other for 26 years, the chances that Joe didn't get involved in some sort of relationship is pretty slim. And so that's why if Brian was still alive and he was running, That's why I went back to Bertolino so hard, is because Bertolino
Uh-huh.
is the guy with the brains. Like, trust me, the Laundries aren't smart enough to pull off an amazing escape. They just
Bert's got the brains, Joe's got the bucks.
right. And so that was the connection that I was getting all the way back to Costa Rica, because Stephen Bertolino's brother has his daughter Julia, and she does these 8-day wandering trips in Costa Rica. So that was where, if he was going to run, that's why I was ready to pretty much go to Costa Rica and track this kid down.
I wanted to kind of backtrack to the will the Laundries be charged with something too, because I was listening when you were talking about that.
And
they have already implicated themselves as accessories from day one, because them handing a lawyer sheet to the cops right away, before essentially at that point in time, Gabby's family didn't even know that Brian wasn't also missing. So
exactly, yeah, and I think that the parents knew something pretty much on the 15th or the 17th before Brian even flew back. So that's why it fits.
So that was my question for the night. Have we drawn a line between Uncle Joe and Bert?
I'm pretty sure we can make a connection between the two.
Yeah.
Pretty easily.
Okay. Have
Thank
a good
you
night,
so much,
everybody.
Allie. Sammy.
Hello, how are you tonight?
I'm doing great. How are you?
All right. I wanted to make some mentions of I'm hearing about people thinking Laundry is still alive. And, well, I just want to say, look, I am in a case where we do believe that this individual is still alive. They've been pronounced dead, basically, in this case. There were men convicted, but the fact is, it was all circumstantial evidence. There was no verification of the remains that they found. The remains had been cremated, and we're looking for proof of loss of life. There is no crime scene.
Sammy, I'm just going to mute you for a second. You've got some background going on, and it's pretty loud. So if you can just take a second to try to fix that, that'd be awesome. And Mark, I saw you called in, buddy. Don't be chicken now. You had some good comments earlier. I really want to see if you're going to throw some tests at me. Sammy, it's still going on in the background. There he is.
Sammy, it's still going on.
I gotta. Okay, I think we might be okay now. Oh my God, guys, it's pretty simple. Just make sure that you've only got one media going to your ears. Do not be playing background and getting the feedback loop. We were doing so good. We had like 7 in a row that were perfect, and then we got 2 back to back. Just try to turn off all your other sources. I mean, even turn off your whatever you're watching. We can just get our talk out there. I'm gonna see if Mark is gonna blow our eardrums out or not. I've got my fingers crossed.
Just get our
Nope, he still has echo. No good. No, I wasn't trying to be rude. I'm just trying to save you all the agony of hearing echo. Oh, Mark, you just when you call in on that, just make sure that you don't have 2 sources of media. Basically, just make sure that you can hear me talking and you don't need to watch anything. That's all. There's Allie. Please mute YouTube before you call in. Yeah, that's all good. Where else was I going to go? All right, so what do you guys think? Do you like these sweatpants? I mean, I could live in these things literally for a year. They are so comfortable, and they're such high quality. I've got a buddy of mine at Country Boys printing, and he does logos, he does everything. So he said that he can set this up pretty quickly. I have to prepay for a whole bunch of it though, so I'm not sure what that cost is going to be, but it's going to be pretty damn big. And then he can do the stickers and things as well. Show the screen. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. I just got one track mind. I was like, so yeah, I don't know. You guys can, I think that it's nice to be able to have an assortment of different colors. Everyone's got their own style. So, but I'll tell you right now, these are going to be comfy, comfy, comfy. And yeah, these, like, I don't know if you guys can just imagine, just think of how soft. Think of a warm little fuzzy bunny just wrapping your freshly shaven legs. Make sure you shave your legs if you put these on, girls. Otherwise, you'll probably get a bunch of snags and stuff. You don't want that. Yeah, bunny clothing. There you go. And it's just comfort. I just like being comfortable. Yeah. I mean, there's a time to put a suit and tie on, but if I have the choice, I'll go over comfort for comfort every time. If I could go downtown and just wear Bermuda shorts and sloppy t-shirts, I would. Do I shave my legs? No, I don't. But see, when you just have the short little stubbly things, that's when it becomes an issue, right? Then your stubble will just wear your sweatpants out quicker. Yeah, exactly. Good Christmas presents, right? And the logo looks sharp, so it doesn't look tacky. The logo will be amazing, and one day when we all get together, we'll wear our swag, and maybe we'll do hats at some point. But all right, let's see if Mark has got his stuff together. Oh, Mark, do you want to unmute yourself, buddy? There you go. Now you're working. Perfect. Oh, Mark, do you want to unmute yourself? No, you're not. We'll get it. We'll get it one day. It's okay. Yeah. What else? Yeah, this was just Brian and stuff coming out. This is them. These are all those sites in New York. Oh, you know what? We haven't really looked at the school. This is where Gabby went to high school. Wow, look at that. That's pretty cool. The Phantoms. We never found out if Brian played high school football or anything. I doubt he did, right? Because he was so small. He probably couldn't have made... I know in Canada you have to have a certain height and a certain amount of weight. They call it a McCoy. And if you don't make that McCoy, you cannot play high school football. I don't think Brian would have been able to make that. He would have been injured. Well, he would have been crippled. Let's be honest. I want you to call. Give us your thoughts. Yeah, no. Fox, those clothes are just gonna just make you feel like you're getting a great big hug, and I know that you need a great big hug tonight. So, oh, here's Dawn. Hi, Dawn.
Hi, hold on, just muting you. Got it now?
Yeah, you're good.
So I know it came out yesterday, but I wanted your thoughts on the cell phone dump.
Right. The FBI or which dump?
The Moab cell phone dump for and Crystal.
Yeah, I don't have any specifics. Do you have any specifics of the dump?
No, they're just I've seen it on Newsnation. I know they're making a big deal out of it. The fact that they haven't come out and released any information until now, like a new clue.
Right. I know there was a bunch of news going around that they found a new cell phone, but if you go back to Cindy Sue's interview, when she was there, she said, I saw like a
She
phone.
saw something glint, like a silver
Well,
glint.
that was how she went to the campsite. But she said when she got up to the campsite, she looked inside the tent and she saw a phone
Cell
leaning
phone.
leaning up against the side of it, and she thought that was odd. But so I don't know if these people that are creating news out of nothing are saying that that was a new phone found at the scene. So I just assumed that phone belonged to Kylan or Crystal.
Okay. And I know there's like thoughts as to when Gabby was in the hotel, like why didn't she just leave?
Right.
So I've had DV, my ex-husband, actually. He'd actually take the keys so I couldn't go anywhere. You know, she says she had problems ordering food and doing all of that stuff. What's the possibility that he just took her credit cards again and her keys?
Well, we tracked down Christopher Laundrie's bank accounts, and we found that he paid for the ticket back for Brian.
Well, I'm just saying, what if he just took her wallet and the keys and left her stranded there?
That's a good point. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, I've had my ex-husband do that to me before, where you're staying home, you can't go anywhere. You have your phone and that's it.
And he would leave her there for a week to fend on her own? Wow. That's even dirtier. Right?
And have, her dad had to order her pizza to get food.
I'm literally throwing up in my own mouth right now. I want to smash this kid.
The other question I had is, coincidence that the girls in Moab, Crystal and Kylan, were reported missing on the 16th. He flies back to Florida on the 17th.
Right.
And then Moab police release on the 24th that the cases aren't related, and he flies back the same day, like he's in the clear.
Yeah, exactly. No, I know. It's infuriating, right?
I was like, do I have this right? It's just unbelievable. But the key thing with why didn't she leave the hotel, I just don't think she could.
Yeah,
where was she gonna go?
I didn't think of that point, right? So yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe he did take the keys, took her wallet, because I gotta get back.
That was the whole fight in the first place, right? In Moab, that he was locking her out of the van and he didn't want her in the van. He had the keys and he locked her out.
Yeah. No.
So why wouldn't he do that to a hotel?
Good point. No, he certainly could have, right? Sorry, I'm just admiring my timeline. I'm just refreshing. It's been so long since I've looked at this thing.
POS, so I don't doubt it.
No, I think you might be right, Dawn. I do think you might be right.
All right.
Well, thank you for calling in. I appreciate it. Oh, yeah. Wow. Can you imagine? How dirty is that? You leave her there without keys and her wallet. You take her money to go fly. The other thing I was going to mention, guys, is I'm pretty sure you have to have some sort of a COVID-19 test, right? I think to fly you have to have a 24-hour negative test, or is it 48 hours or something like that? Just in order to get on the plane. So if the girls were killed on the early morning of the 14th, 2 days to get your test, that puts you at the 16th. Boom, get on a plane on the 17th. I have no evidence of that, but it seems to fit. So can we track down the COVID test? Can we track down confirmation of that? I'm pretty sure that the FBI is going to have all that information. So the hotels at the airport, yeah, absolutely. If you guys want, I can take you through map time and take you right there. The airport is 2:30. Yeah, 230 north, this one right here. So this is the Fairfield where they stayed. Is it Perkins? Right here. Anything else? Anything else? I didn't know that it wasn't everywhere. Shuttle bus also from airport to the room. Good point, right? He could have taken her keys. Good point. I like it. You guys are right on it. Yeah, I always wondered why she called her dad to order pizza. Like that didn't fit. But now, if we can assume that Brian took her bank card plus took her keys, she had no place to go. Dirty, dirty, dirty. Really don't like it. Hi, Wendy. How are you?
Hi. I've got a couple of things to say about him taking her keys. That makes a lot of sense because men like that want to show the woman how bad that she can't do anything without him.
Yeah, exactly. No, and I watched a psychologist last night, and she was talking about covert narcissism, but how she thought that Brian Laundrie was actually a, oh God, I have to go over my other stuff now. Give me 1 second. She said that he was a vulnerable narcissist. And what the difference is if they don't get that fill from, say, like a nephew that looks up to them and like, oh, you're so amazing, then they're lost. Without that, they don't ever get to a high point. But so their highs and their lows they swing dramatically. So I thought that was a really beautiful observation that she made. And she basically said, I don't think he's a covert narcissist. I think he's a vulnerable narcissist. He knows that he's not really worth anything. And if he's not getting that admiration, especially like from his nephews, because the first thing when he gets back to town, what does he do? He goes and sees his nephews.
Yes.
Phil again, right? So I thought that was just brilliant observation on her part.
And the second thing was that as far as COVID test, for them to go traveling all across the United States like that, I would have thought they probably had the vaccine.
When they were younger, weren't they only giving it out to people that were older? And then later on, they opened it up to younger people?
Yeah, but that's been a while. They left in July.
Well, we're talking August the 17th is what we really need to know, right?
Yeah.
It was just a thought, throwing it out there. I
Yeah,
mean,
but I think a lot, and it really depends on the places too. I mean, they could have got it quicker some places than other places.
True, but you still have to do it at some point. So
yeah,
that was my only point.
And just from what I've heard about him throwing his fit and talking about the South, and it seems like his political swing would have swung for the vaccine if they were able to get it.
Well,
and with this, I'll tell you something else. His mom has had cancer. And so that would maybe make him more likely to get the vaccine. Because when my mom had cancer, I had to get flu vaccines.
Right.
To protect the family with him living in the home.
Yeah. No.
There's a good chance that they got it.
Okay. All right. I mean, we have to look into that, right? But
yeah. But I mean, I think that would be easier for the FBI to track down than the testing.
But before you fly, even if you do have the vaccine, you still have to prove that you're not positive for COVID. So you do have to have that test regardless of whether you were vaccinated or not.
Well, my sister just flew 3 weeks ago, and they didn't have to retest because they have the vaccine.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Well, yeah, there's different rules everywhere, so not sure.
Okay, well, we're in North Carolina, and they were going on a cruise, and they were going went to Miami and West Palm Beach. So, but also, did you see the bruises on Brian's arms in that picture that Cassie had with him sitting on the trees with his nephews?
Right, I did. Yeah, on his thigh, on his right thigh. Yes, it looked like a very deep bruise.
And on his arms.
Yeah, 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 exactly. It looked like there could have been a bite mark. I agree.
Well, I was wondering actually if it could have come from his dad. If they maybe got in a fight when all this came about.
Well, they got in a car together. I mean, that might be a possibility, but it seemed like their first priority when they got home was to go over and see the nephews and Cassie and James, right?
Yeah. I don't know. It's such a web.
Oh, it's just been, this case will go on for years and be studied for years in police enforcement, in domestic violence situations, like Brian Enton alluded to earlier tonight, is the Moab Police Department went through, their protocol for domestic violence because of this case. So hopefully this brings light to these type of situations all over the world.
Oh, most definitely, and especially the way officers act when they get on those sites.
Yeah.
When they get called.
Yeah, and I'd actually further that. I'd like to see anybody involved in a domestic violence situation have to put on, some thick bracelet like this that can't be removed. And you can keep track of them 24 hours a day. You can see if they go to a liquor store. You can see if they're at a drug,
like an ankle bracelet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And if it ever gets broken or they try to cut it off, an alarm will go to dispatch and they can check them. And even now, I thought about this as well. What about if you have a sexual offender in your area? I think you should be able to know exactly where that person is, like say on Halloween night. Make sure they're not hiding in a bush or in a park. Or if they've abducted someone, you can quickly locate them within 10 minutes.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, I have been on my phone, and you can go on the phone and find out where they all live around you.
Exactly my point.
Yeah. If they had something where they were moving around, something that could track them.
Exactly, in real time. Exactly.
Yeah.
No, I think that rather than trying to investigate these murders, let's try to put a little bit of prevention in the system. We certainly have the technology today to do that.
Yes. And it's so many cases go so unknown.
Oh, and we can feel the pain that, Gabby's parents have gone through in this process. And that's all I want to prevent. Like, I know it takes away people's liberties, and I know people aren't going to be able to chip people. But you know what? If you know you're not guilty, what's a big problem in wearing a band, right?
Well, I mean, I think only the guilty ones should have to wear the band.
Yeah. The other option is all the innocent people have to wear one. So I don't know. But I think we got to do something about it because it's an epidemic. I mean, we've got so many missing persons cases in our Discord coming at us now. It's just it's overwhelming.
Right, but most DVs, they aren't killed the first time. It happens many times before, and so once they're charged with it, that's when they should have to start wearing some kind of tracking.
Totally agree. Couldn't say it better.
Okay, well, keep doing what you're doing. I enjoy it and hope we find some answers.
Yeah, me too. Thank you, Wendy.
Okay, thank you.
I didn't mean to cut her off that quickly, but I thought she was done. Gippy says, right, I agree. Wish we could know. We have a sex offense app that shows where they live because they are registered. We have 2 in our neighborhood. Scary. My grandkids don't get out of my sight. I agree. And it's just crazy that we have all this technology and we have, the ability to put negotiators into hardcore domestic violence situations, but we just haven't really changed with the times. Society has changed so fast. We've got, online sexual predators. We've got so many different situations. And I think with technology, we could stamp this kind of stuff out pretty quickly. I mean, if Brian was forced to wear a bracelet in some of those big fights that they had back even in high school, put one on him. If the one neighbor that said that she saw Brian hitting Gabby on the front lawn, well, boom, here's your bracelet. Sorry, buddy. You just don't hit a woman. Period. Ever. So, I mean, it could be another way to keep track of people that are, using guns, or maybe they have social media. Like the power of what we do behind the scenes that a lot of people don't get to see is when we go through people's social media. I mean, we learn so much about them. We learn who they talk to. We see their body language. It's just awesome to be able to try to fight crime like this. It's amazing, actually. Gavis, do we know where the parents were on the 28th and the 30th? Do we know for sure they didn't go out there to the Tetons and help Brian cover anything up? We don't know for sure anything. We just know that as soon as Brian got home on the 1st at 10:28 in the morning, that very shortly after that, they hopped in the Mustang, parked the van in the garage, and they headed over to Cassie's to go see the grandkids. So 28th and 29th, I think they're basically just waiting for Brian to get home, or they're just at home. Tinkerbell Tina, I agree. Even though they're not allowed out that night, I'm sure they are monitoring them, but not enough. They sneak out. I have one who just moved in a street over from me last week. Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know. I really think that these offenders should be definitely tracked better. I have to scrub up on calling in. I just wanted to speak about the DNA issue. I'm very interested in what you know. Well, we know pretty much as everybody knows. We know that partial remains were found. We know that a dry bag was found. We know that a backpack was found, and that a notebook was found, and that also a water bottle belonging to Gabby was also found within a relatively short distance of each other. There was some other bones that were found out there, but we had one of our amazing people with us call in a favor from a friend. We determined that those bones were actually from a young deer and not a human. So, yeah, there's bones scattered all over there, but we can't say that they're all Brian's. So, as far as the DNA, the only other way in the story that's coming out is that Brian went and had his teeth pulled, and the teeth were left near the stuff that could have been potentially planted, which to me is utter and complete hogwash. So don't let people take you down that crazy path. Hi, how's it going?
Oh, am I back?
You're back, and you're
Crap.
on. You
Okay, so I just wanted to let you know that while you guys were talking here, I pulled up the travel restrictions in Utah for flying.
On August 15th?
They're the travel guidelines that the state has out now. Now, whether or not they were the travel restrictions then or now, I just figured I'd call and let you know that as of right now, even still, if you're not vaccinated, and sorry, what they mean by fully vaccinated is you have to be at least 2 weeks on the other side of a vaccination in order to fly.
Right. And is that for 2 shots as well?
Like, yes, that's 2 weeks after the second shot.
Right. So in that, you can only get your second shot after 4 weeks, isn't it? Or 4 months?
Correct. You
I think
4
it's
weeks.
4 months.
Yeah, I went 4 weeks.
Okay.
For mine.
Right.
If you're not fully vaccinated, you do still have to test.
Right.
And it has to be 24 to 48 hours before you fly.
Right. So that's why.
So I just wanted to let you know I looked it up and it.
No, that's good, Ali, and that just proves my point even further.
Exactly.
That the chances of him being responsible for Kylan and Crystal is just moving up and up and up. So one thing that I asked Discord to look into today was those satellite photos, and we'd also reached out to WFLA to try to pay for this too, but maybe I'll pay for it. I don't know yet. No, I just want to be right.
Right.
But get those time satellite photos for the 14th at, what did I say? 12:45 or 1:40? Yeah, 12:45 to basically 4 o'clock in the morning with 15-minute intervals.
Right.
And once we know that, I'm pretty confident that we're going to see a white van parked above where Kylan and Crystal were, because there's a turnaround park there. And I think that's where we're going to see the white van.
So, yeah, I just wanted to call and say the information corroborates what your theory is.
Beautiful.
On their state site right now.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, I'm out of here again.
Yeah, so I don't try to make big jumps, but if it's logical, then yeah, I'm on to it. Thanks, Jennifer. Don Richardson says, New York City cops called 6 times for me, and each time I was made to leave the residence. He was a 350-pound ex-Marine. I'm 175. Yeah. I don't know. Crazy. There's definitely ways to handle stuff. Oh, sorry. I'll put up the banner. I completely forgot, you guys. I apologize. Here's the StreamYard. I'm not sure how long we've been going. Do you guys know how many viewers we've got on each platform? I'll bring in Maria here. Hi, Maria. Platform.
Hi.
I'll bring in Maria here. There's an echo. Maria. Platform.
Hi.
So, Maria, what you have to do is you have to turn off one of your other sources, and just otherwise we get an echo. So yeah, if you're going to call in, guys, just remember that you can only have one source running. I agree. They're preparing now to protect their interests big time, right? And they're also preparing for what could possibly come down the pipe from the FBI. And the more time the FBI takes, the more I chuckle a little bit inside, because I can imagine the laundries are just, they're shaking like a dog shitting razor blades right now. I'm so glad that you're going back to investigate the women in Moab murders. I've pretty much pegged this from, I don't know how long ago, but it's been a long time ago that I was already on this, guys. So it's just been a hard battle to get everyone to listen. So back to investigate the women in Moab murders. Maria, your stuff is echoing. You need to turn off one of your sources.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're good now.
Oh, wonderful. Oh my gosh. I think what you're doing is wonderful.
Thank you.
I have a couple questions and a couple of thoughts on this, because, I'm in it just like everyone else. I have spreadsheets. What are your thoughts on the John Freeman Holt?
I think there's absolutely 1% chance only that he could have been involved. He was 3 hours away. He had a motorbike. He had 2 firearms, a shotgun and a rifle. The women were shot. If they would have matched the ballistics to those 2 women, John Freeman would have been arrested right then and there, and then he was arrested shortly thereafter. So he just didn't have the time, and that wasn't his motive. So his motive was to get away. He was in a perfect little town. He was safe as a bee, and yeah, he was happy. Venturing that far away just literally makes zero sense.
Well, see, okay, a couple of things. He has a bunch of pictures on his Facebook. You saw that, I think,
Yep.
right? Because he was in Moab. And there's this one picture in particular that I found, and I wish if I could share it, I would. But it shows that he was in this one particular location. It looks like San Juan Street and Center. And I was trying really, really hard to figure out where that location is. And there's a couple other pictures that show that look like, backdrops of Moab. And I think there was one where I thought there was a report that he was actually in LaSalle. And when he escaped, he did say that part of the reason he was out is because he wanted to rape and pillage. And he has that long history, or he does have a history of raping.
Let's see
right?
if I have my John Freeman Colt thing. But yeah, no, I've done a full workup on John Freeman Colt, and yeah, it's a bit silly. Sorry, he wasn't there. I know that's a weak explanation, but I have it here somewhere. Just bear with me. There it is. So here's John Freeman Colt. Here's, I'm pretty sure I have his map time too. So here's where he was escaped from.
Yes.
Kansas Larned State Hospital. And here was Whispering Oaks. Let me try to expand this a bit. And here's where he was staying, in Torrey. So from Torrey, and if you know this area where Whispering Oaks is, I mean, it's way back, it's windy, big, huge, hairpin turns back and forth. It just doesn't fit. It's not like he was hanging out at the Moonflower that day like Brian and Gabby. It just doesn't fit. I mean, it's such a stretch to try to put him there. It's ridiculous. So for me, the only suspect is Brian. There's a 1% chance that it could have been somebody else.
So you think he did the three he did all three girls.
Absolutely.
And so you think he raped?
No. The Kylan and Crystal were a lesbian couple. I think that's the way they slept. I don't think there was a rape at all.
No, they were saying on one of the shows that I was watching, or one of the channels, that they got raped before they got shot and raped after they got shot.
Yeah, there's some people that say some horrific things to get clicks and views. You will never find me say that here, ever. It just doesn't, no. People take one little thing that's plausible like that, and they blow it up, and they try to sensationalize it, and they try to utilize that to get clicks, and they try to use that to get money in their own pocket, and it's disgusting.
Did you notice there were two other girls that became missing?
Yep.
A 15-year-old girl and a 20-year-old girl at Eagle Rock.
Yep. No, we looked into that. We actually found Eleanor. We dug up a bunch in there. We did a bunch of research, and we found that she was in protective custody. The other girl, Morgan Wells? No,
Yeah.
Morgan. Anyway, the other girl, she went missing, and she was seen leaving in a white car at 1:00 in the morning carrying a laundry basket. So that one, there's some suspicion, and we don't know. There was also another individual, Kyan, who was found basically right near Gabby's body, actually the intersection at Morin. He's missing as well. So that was a much later event. So Brian wasn't in that area at that time. So Brian's not anyway potentially possibly connected to that. It can't be connected to, obviously, Eleonora. She was in protective custody. And the other girl, gosh, I can't pull her name up. Morgan Sessions. There, I got it. She's still potentially in trouble. We don't know where she is. And there was also Robert Bowden. He was confirmed it was a suicide. So Brian's not responsible for that. So yeah, I think we've wrapped up everything pretty good.
Wow.
But don't believe this John Freeman cult horse shit for a second. Don't do that to me.
Okay.
Okay. Any other
Okay.
questions?
Yeah. I'm just
Sure.
hold on. This is a whole boatload. It sounds like you really did your research. This is a whole boatload of information because it's been bothering me.
No, yeah, no, and that's what I'm here for. I want people that have tough questions to come in, and there's so much fluff. I call it fluff out there, and it just it causes people not to be able to sleep at night, and that's what I'm good at. And I don't have any notes really in front of me. I've just memorized this top to bottom.
So you think that the bones that or the skeletal remains are definitely Brian's?
Right, because the only other thing is that Brian went to a dentist, had his molars and every single tooth pulled out of his skull, and then planted at the scene. So is that logical and reasonable? I don't think it is.
No, but this is what I was thinking. So if the parents more the shady lawyer, I feel like
Stephen Bertolino.
Bertolino, I don't feel like I can really, he just seems shady every which way. So it's like what I think is a little more plausible, although still, pretty, sensational, is I think that, if they found a skull of a 20-something-year-old,
No, but you still have to match the teeth. Those teeth have to have exactly the same fillings, exactly the same shape as Brian's. You can't just take another corpse and throw in teeth on the ground. You can't
No,
go kill a homeless dude and say, "Oh, that's Brian."
well, if you take dental records from this 20-year-old or this homeless dude and swap them out with Brian's, like then when they go to, or you bribe a technician either at the sheriff's county office or at the dental
And
place.
then, okay, so let's take your train of thought. Let's go down the ridiculous trail. So how do you get the dry bag that belongs to Brian? How do you get the water bottle that belongs to Brian? How do you get the backpack that belongs to Brian? How do you get the notebook that belongs to Brian out there when you see the parents carrying nothing out there to the reserve when they go with the police and the FBI? When did they have a chance to plan this?
Well, obviously it wouldn't have been the parents. They would have, paid someone off to go in there to drop it at a specific location, scatter it around, throw in the bones, and and if the police they were either thinking the police will find it, or if not, then the 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 parents had to at the last minute go in and find this.
So what do you think is more reasonable? That that's actually where Brian died, or that someone did what you were talking about? They switched the dental records, somebody went in there, and Brian's still on the run.
Obviously the first one is more reasonable, but if he's willing, so okay, if we look at Brian's what's the word, his moral character, he's already proven that he's willing to change, Instagram posts. He's willing to, him and his parents are both willing to not say anything, not help,
But that's just the lawyer. That's just the lawyer. The lawyer has to do that to basically protect his clients. So I know it looks shady and it looks horrible, but that's what you have to do as a lawyer. Like you can't let your clients start running their mouths and getting themselves into even more trouble. So the standard protocol is zip it, don't say a thing. And by doing that, they look like the most evil couple on the planet for sure, right? So I just think that it boils down to the money, right? We want to follow the money. I don't think the Laundries or Brian had any money whatsoever. So I do think that when the police started coming to the house on the 13th, Brian knew the net was closing in. He didn't have any more time. And he's like, you know what, Mom, I'm just going to go for a walk. And that's the night he went and offed himself on the 14th. To me, it's sometimes the simplest answer is the right answer. And people that create stuff out of nothing to get views and to make money, I think is just as awful as what Brian has done personally.
Right, right. Yeah. I mean, I was just, I don't know, just
But
thinking through all the
well,
potential,
you can
you know.
join our Discord. We have
Yeah.
literally 24 hours a day. I'll put up the Discord right now. And yeah, just join our Discord. If you need to talk to somebody, come in there. And like Dawn earlier, I spent probably a good hour with Dawn today, just going over all the sequences of events. I showed her the timeline. I showed her everything. And you can hear her voice change now. She's like, totally, like instantly. It's the same thing when I ran my timeline and I went for 3 hours and 44 minutes to go through everything. I was expecting a bunch of questions at the end. Do you know how many questions I got? 0. Because everyone's like, it's brilliant. Like everything fits. Well done. And so hopefully, you know, I know we've been talking for quite a while, but hopefully I can get you there, because I myself went through this. I went through nights where I couldn't sleep, and I've lost 25 pounds in the last month just from not eating, just being so hyper focused on what I'm doing that I can't eat. I just have to know. I just keep driving. And I think if you get in Discord, you'll see there's 200 people like me in there, and we all have that same passion.
Yeah. Yeah.
This isn't just my collaboration. This is a collaboration of 200, 300 brilliant people.
And one last question, Sal, who was Sal? Who do you think Sal, when Gabby's phone sent that last text saying, who is Sal? Because I don't know, you probably saw where they were
Right.
saying that it's maybe
The actual text was, can you help please Stan? And
okay.
so we've been able to hear and confirm from Nicole that Stan text was sent on the 30th, just before there's no service in Yosemite. So with pretty good certainty, we can now say that
was Brian.
Brian sent both, because the one that was on the 27th, Nicole confirmed that she said, yes, I was definitely talking to Gabby on the 27th. We have Gabby alive at the Mary Piglet between 1 and 2. We have the Bethune video at 6:30, where I think it's Gabby closing the door. So Gabby's alive at 6:30 on the 27th. I think it's the night of the 27th, early morning of the 28th, that's when she's no longer with us.
Okay.
Hopefully you can get some sleep tonight. I hope I did
thank
a
you.
bunch. That's a
It
lot.
was nice.
That's a lot to unpack in a short little 20-minute conversation. But I think if you can look at it that way, I think you're gonna have a good sleep tonight. Finally.
I appreciate your time. Yes.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm glad I could help.
Bye.
Whew. Okay. Any more tough ones? I think I don't even know how long we've been on. It seems like we've probably done at least a couple hours. Oh yeah, I'd love to get Dawn on here. That'd be great. Don't leave. Why? You want to call in? 2 hours and 37 minutes. Wow. Do we have any more viewers, or are we still sitting at 100? Gavis, you should look at this. Irish Times, family of missing Dublin man in Wyoming. Yeah, if I could look at every single case that's out there, wow, that would be awesome. But for now, we're going to focus on Chloe, Sydney. I've got one that I'm looking at here in my hometown, and just trying to get you guys better quality content. I think we've got the content. We just got to put it out there in a way that is nicer. So that's some of the stuff I'm looking at doing. I know Alyssa wanted me to do those polls and things, and I don't know. I think those polls are kind of cheesy. I think we're here for information. I saw that one on Grizzly True Crimes is looking into that one. Which is that, Artemis? I missed it. Oh, Cyan. Right. Yeah, so Cyan went missing. We'll do a little bit of map time. We all love map time, right? Whew. Okay, so San Juan, you get deleted because you are no longer. Coulter Bay. All right, so here's Coulter Bay. Here's Moran. So Moran is right here. And so if we go back to here, this is where Brian and Gabby were parked. Hold on. There's that edge. There's this. So right when this comes around right here, this is where they were parked, right in this little non-parking spot close to the river. This river has changed a lot too, guys. I can go to Google Earth and it'll look a little bit better. But yeah, right here. Oh, Artemis. Nah, there was no Sal, just Stan. Yeah, no, it was just Stan. She was just confused. That's all. But the Cyan, apparently he went missing just here. This is Moran. So it's very close, but it's much later than Gabby and Brian were there. Kian. Okay, sorry. I'll get it right. Why you sigh at me? I didn't mean to. I'm just in a good mood. I'm in a good mood. I get my bunny tomorrow. And I cinched up a bunch of funds, well, a few funds to go after this well that I'm really excited about. If you guys are into geology, maybe I'll schedule a geology lesson, reservoir engineering for you. Yeah. All right, guys, I think we had a good show tonight. I think we upped a few things and we answered some questions. We helped at least 2 people get their head around some of the issues. We got to see Brian's trip, which is pretty good, and we learned a whole new version of what could have transpired at the Mary Piglet, which is pretty awesome, actually. So I think we did pretty good tonight. I'm pretty happy with the outcome. And as far as tomorrow, I think what we'll do is pray for some news. That's one thing that we need to do. Hopefully we get some FBI stuff. Hopefully we don't get it all at once. Hopefully we just get like a little bit of information and then we can work with that. And I'll have a co-host on tomorrow night. Her name is Boots. She's pretty little, about that big. And yeah, we'll go from there. So if there's any breaking news and you guys have raw footage, just make sure you DM me that, because Discord is going so fast these days. It's crazy. Even with the 30 or 28 different tabs we have, it's still just so hard to keep up with everything. But it's a good passion of love. I love it. And everyone's doing great. So on that note, we're going to sign off. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'll upload this to both Twitch and to YouTube. And you guys can rewatch it if there was something that wasn't clear to you, or if there's something that's still not clear to you. I have all these videos posted on Twitch. Some of the ones I've posted on YouTube, it's just kind of new. So YouTube seems a lot more strict with respect to posting video or music or anything like that. So I just kind of prefer Twitch. It just seems to be much more lenient. All right, guys, have a great night. Get a good sleep, especially you two that were having a lot of problems there. I hope we work those out for you. And hopefully the next stream we'll have a few more people and gradually just build momentum and just keep doing what we do. We're not going to imitate people. I'm not going to start doing BS fluff articles to try to get views. You guys all know that. That's why you're here. Have a good night.